Good morning and welcome to Metro's board activities for June 26, 2025. Normally sitting in this chair is Teresa Impasardo, but she's not because we'd like to congratulate her on her promotion as Metro's new Chief Infrastructure Officer. Well deserved for Teresa. But the good news is, even more good news, is that taking her place as our Chief Safety Officer is Jamie Johnson, who is with us here, also being promoted, which we're very happy about. And he's going to provide our safety contact. So good morning, Jamie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate your good wishes. The National Capital Region is currently coming to the end of probably its first heat wave of the summer, but we expect there to be more high heat throughout the next few weeks. During heat waves, Metro follows multiple procedures and protocols to protect our customers, employees, and our infrastructure. For customers during a heat wave, Metro is a great option, offering welcome respite from the heat with air-conditioned trains, buses, and access vehicles. In addition, there are simple common sense precautions that customers can take to reduce the risk posed by high temperatures. Number one, stay hydrated. Drink frequently, even if you're not thirsty. Prioritize water or electrolyte-rich drinks like sports drinks rather than sugary drinks, alcoholic drinks, or caffeinated drinks. Number two, dress appropriately. Wear lightweight, loose-fitting, and breathable clothing like cotton or linen, and consider a hat or umbrella for personal shade. Number three, minimize heat exposure. Where possible, travel at cooler times of day and seek shade from sunlight. Use the Metro Pulse app to plan your journey and make it as short as possible. And number four, stay alert to the symptoms of heat exhaustion and heat stroke, such as dizziness, headache, excessive sweating, rapid heartbeat, and confusion. The elderly, children, or people with pre-existing conditions are most vulnerable. And if you or any of your fellow customers experience these symptoms, move to a cool place, hydrate, and seek medical attention as needed. Do not hesitate to alert a member of our Metro team or call 911 in an emergency. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. I know we have a lot of guests today. We are in the process of setting up some more chairs, so be patient for a few minutes, and when those are up, you're certainly welcome to have a seat. This is the Finance and Capital Committee, and I'm Matt Letourneau, Chair of the committee. Chair Santos and Mr. Spenberg are both participating remotely in today's meetings, so we should have them online participating. Also, Dr. Haddon-Lowe and Mr. McAndrew are not with us today in person. We have alternate directors Worth and Mr. Goldman, who I believe had to step out for another meeting, that are filling in, but welcome to them. This is our first meeting of the day, so I'll ask Ms. Ellison, our Corporate Secretary, to call the roll.
Chair Letourneau.
Present.
Vice Chair Klein.
Present.
Director Santos.
Present.
Alternate Director Goldman. Director Smedberg.
Present.
Director Martin Proctor.
Good morning.
Alternate Director Worth.
Present.
Director Drummer.
Present.
Mr. Chair, you have.
Thank you, Ms. Ellison. Our first order of business is to approve the agenda. I'd like to move to approve the agenda as presented. Are there any objections by members of the committee to the agenda? Hearing none, the agenda is approved as presented. Now the approval of minutes. We have the minutes of our May 15th meeting before us for approval. Are there any objections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, we'll consider the minutes approved as presented as well. We have an important update on our agenda today, an overview of Metro's financial and operational performance through the third quarter of FY 2025. This includes updated operating and capital budget forecasts for the end of the year. We'll also hear a presentation this morning on the annual Regional Opportunity and Partnership Report, which provides an overview of the metrics aligned to the corresponding goal and our strategic transformation plan. So I'll turn the floor over to Yatenda Antal. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Letourneau and members of the board. My name is Yetunde Olumide, Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. I'm here today with Tom Webster, Executive Vice President and Chief Planning and Performance Officer. We'll be presenting Metro's Q3 FY25 financial results and end-of-year forecast this morning. Metro's Q3 results and forecasts align with our commitment to good financial stewardship, which comprehensively supports our strategic transformation plan objectives of service excellence, talented teams, regional opportunity and partnership, and financial stewardship and resource management. This demonstrates Metro's unwavering commitment to financial stability and service reliability and continuity. Through Q3, total ridership was 8% above the prior year, with Metro Rail ridership exceeding Metro Bus ridership. Rail ridership totaled about 98 million trips, an increase of 8.5 million or 9% from the previous year, and favorable to budget by 14 million trips or 17%. When including only tapped ridership, the rail variance was favorable to budget by about 12.5% and favorable to the prior year by over 17%. Bus ridership totaled about 93 million trips above Q3, or through Q3, 9.3 million trips or 11% above budget, and 6.6 million or 8% above FY24 Q3 ridership statistics. Ridership on Metro Access through the third quarter was 0.8 million trips, about 28% below budget and 25 below prior year. Passenger revenue was about 43.7 million or 15% favorable to budget. This is due to higher paid ridership on rail, which was up about 32%, and on bus, which increased by about 14%. This increase was offset by lower revenue on Metro Access, which fell about 16%. Passenger revenues totaled about $328 million and is about $74 million or 29% above prior year. Non-passenger revenues totaled about 92 million through Q3, which was about 17 million or 23% favorable to budget, mainly due to higher than expected parking revenues as well. FY25 operating expenses through Q3 were about $1.8 billion, favorable by about $61 million to budget, due to savings in different categories, including benefits and personnel areas. Q3 FY25 has seen progress toward the 8,000 series railcar project with the successful completion of the preliminary design and review. Metro also completed the designs for the temporary bus flags and updated bus system maps concerning our Better Bus redesign rollout. The first of over 7,500 replacement bus flags were installed through March, and all bus flags are expected through the end of June. The maps for the new network were also in production, and a lot of these have been rolled out. So Metro also began the enterprise video system phase 1 and 6,000 series video installations on about 182 railcars, with completion during this summer. Overall, in Q3, Metro has spent about 187 million out of the 416 on railcar and railcar facilities, and also about 250 million on rail systems, and about 206 million also on business and operation support. Now we pivot to the FY25 year-end forecast. A major focus of FY25 has been managing costs and growing revenues through strategic management and efficiencies, passenger revenue modernization and growth, and non-passenger revenue growth as well. Metro has negotiated new bargaining agreements with Local 689 and 922, and also with the FOP. We've implemented operating budget efficiencies totaling about 88 million and streamlined the procurement process to improve service and transparency. This is ongoing. The FY25 budget included the savings associated with wage freezes in different labor categories, including non-represented employees, totaling about $38 million. To grow and modernize passenger revenues, WMATA optimized fares and service, growing ridership by about 9.5% and passenger revenues by about 30%. We also exceeded 2 of our ridership goals, surpassing our Metro Lift enrollment goal of about 11,200 by about 800 to reach about 12,000 participants. And also exceeding in our Kids Ride Free Apple Wallet goal by about 50%. Non-passenger revenues also continue. Metro approved joint development agreements, which you'll hear more of in the next presentations, with Hines for over 437 residential units at Twinbrook. We executed an MOU on Montgomery County outlining about $37 million in support of the North Bethesda station. We also opened retail at LaFont headquarters and began installing ATM machines at stations to generate more non-passenger revenues. Q3 demonstrated a strong year-over-year ridership and passenger revenue performance. The March full-year passenger revenue forecast is about $75 million above budget, with a ridership forecast of $38 million above budget. The cherry blossom season brought a significant increase to ridership in the region under Metro Rail and Metro Bus, and this also happened in Q3. Additionally, federal employee ridership is expected to increase in the remainder of Q3 due to the federal government-wide policy to require return to office for employees. FY25 year-end operating forecast expects a total revenue of about $580 million, which is about $92 million favorable to budget. The FY25 year-end forecast also includes about $28 million in one-time year-end savings and reflects the fact that federal relief will be fully expended in FY25. This $28 million is being used to fund operating service and maintenance costs in FY26 as approved by the board. Metro will continue to use preventive maintenance through the end of the fiscal year and estimates transferring from operating to capital totaling up to $97 million to support the capital and operating projects. Through the implementation of these and other cost-saving strategies, Metro is forecasted to close FY25 with a total favorability of $112 million in operating and capital as well. This saves approximately $84 million, or nearly half of the forecasted preventive maintenance budget. Combined with year-end savings, this yields the total $112 million for FY25. This will be available in FY26 for reimbursement in the system, for operating service, and also for maintenance and reinvesting into capital program. These substantial savings highlight Metro's continued commitment to efficiency, decreased reliance in capital funds, growing operational efficiencies, and increasing ridership and revenue. Tom will now discuss capital program results.
Thank you, Yetunde, and thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Through our capital program, Metro continues to deliver investments and really reinvestments that to sustain and improve the performance of the system. To highlight some of the high impact capital investment accomplishments of the past or of the recent past, we've opened the new Carrollton parking garage, launched Tap Ride and Go on rail, where customers can now pay with credit and debit. 33 escalators have been replaced and 2 elevators rehabilitated. We, of course, have returned to automatic train operations, which is a major accomplishment after a long period of over 16 years here. About 80 buses have been rehabilitated through the FY20, through the capital program this year so far. We've rolled out the Better Bus Network, as Yetunde mentioned. There's pretty significant capital investment to update our physical assets and digital assets out in the system. We have installed new bus shelters to replace those in poor condition, particularly at some of our rail stations across the system. And then, of course, have done very significant track rehabilitation work, particularly across the system, but particularly on the Red Line and in the last summer and in the core this winter. We have continued and completed some bridge reconstruction work at Branch Avenue and are nearly complete at Grosvenor, and continue our traction power rehabilitation and reinvestment program with 3 traction power substations and 1 tiebreaker station completed recently. So we're also, as you all know, the one-year capital budget is a single year of a multi-year investment portfolio. Many of the projects extend over multi years. So just to highlight, we are continuing the reinvestment and the reconstruction of Bladensburg and Northern bus garages, the traction rehabilitation program, traction power, and train control rooms, just to highlight a few. And are continuing programs that lead to the modernization of our business operations as well as our customer experience, including the fare modernization program highlighted at the bottom of this slide. As we've discussed with the board a number of times through the budget process, we're continuing to look for opportunities to be more efficient and more cost effective in the delivery of capital projects, and of course in our general operations. So this is particularly important in light of our looming fiscal constraints in the capital program, and due to some challenges in the market and in manufacturing and delivery of equipment and in construction. So we've done some things to, in the fare collection program, to reevaluate the long-term outlook for that reinvestment program, the move to more mobile and the Tap Ride Go program give us an opportunity to relook at the physical infrastructure and the equipment out in the field, particularly the fare vending machines, as well as some of the back of house systems. In implementing some of our complicated reinvestment and state of good repair programs along the right-of-way, our teams have, particularly in Andy's part of the organization, have looked for ways to deliver the work more efficiently by using things like barriers to protect employees and workers from the right-of-way while implementing a project. So this has both safety benefits and also some financial benefits as we can complete the work in a shorter amount of time with less impact on service. So really proud of some of the efficiencies and cost savings, as well as the safety benefits we've seen there. We continue to face some challenges in the market, particularly in construction and delivery of certain types of equipment and in particular bus vehicles. So we see in our capital program this year some fairly substantial underperformance relative to budget as a result of delays in the execution of those projects and delays in delivery of, for example, buses relative to what we expected 18 or 20 months ago. We've discussed this a few times, but you're seeing the impact of that in the financials. The practical implication of that is those expenses will happen, but at a later period of time. So the associated budget and capital funding will be available in future years of the budget. A little bit more on that. So our FY25 approved capital budget was $2.3 billion. We're now expecting a year-end forecast of about $1.9 billion. A significant portion of that is the preventive maintenance transfer reduction, which results in capital program savings and capital funding being available for the future. So that's about $84 million. Some of the implications of the cost savings efforts and result in actual savings that are then available for reinvestment. We've had, and then a number of projects and programs delayed relative to the previous expectations. And those, as I mentioned, those expenditures will occur in future fiscal years. Also, just take a moment to highlight, we have some reimbursable programs in our capital program. A major one is Metro's costs in support of the implementation of Maryland Department of Transportation's Purple Line. And those function within our capital program, but more are driven by the schedule of those external parties. So there's some variance in the amount delivered on Metro's side as a result of changes in those external projects. With that, our next step after our team completes the year-end financial process, we'll be reporting back to the board, I believe in the October timeframe, in advance of the financial audit. That concludes our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, I mean, the best news there is probably on the PM transfer and the implications for that, for the future availability of capital and getting out of that practice that we don't want to do. Are there questions by members of the committee first and or members of the board? Yes, Director Worth.
It's great to see the growth in ridership. I appreciated that slide on slide 12 on how ridership is going up steadily over the years and all the capital investments that we've made in rail and bus. But my question was more so about the surplus. So it looks like we added revenue, we also added expenses, and we lowered PM, but we still have a projected $28 million surplus. And I was wondering if you can explain why that is.
Thank you for your question, Director Worth. The combination therein really is driven by our ridership. We have exceeded ridership on Metro Bus and Metro Rail. The majority of this, of course, is Metro Rail, just given the statistics I shared earlier. We have savings as well associated mostly with our personnel vacancies, about 10% through the year. Majority of that is, of course, as well, the PM that has not been transferred, will not be transferred through the end of 25. The good news in there is that whatever isn't transferred, we are applying to the future capital investments as we go forward in FY26 and beyond. If you recall, when the FY26 budget was approved back in April 10th, I believe, we did apply a projected $28 million of this favorability to funding the FY26 budget already in April. So that was shared back then and is projected to be part of the funding source for FY26. Thank you. I hope I answered your question, ma'am.
So it's mostly due to the increase in ridership?
For the most part, yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Other questions?
Sure. Hey, Mr. Chair, it's Mike Goldman. I do have a question.
Go ahead, Mr.
Hello, good morning. Thank you. A good deal of this presentation, you've had some ridership figures for both Metro Rail and Metro Bus, and you've pointed out that Metro Bus is now showing ridership in excess of pre-COVID levels. And I believe you showed the same thing for Metro Rail on the weekends. But I didn't see a figure comparing Metro Rail ridership, current ridership, with pre-COVID ridership levels. And I assume that we are still below pre-COVID ridership levels, but I wonder if you have those exact numbers before you this morning.
Thank you for your question.
That is specifically just a comparison of overall rail ridership in spring 2025 versus what it was pre-COVID in spring 2019.
Thank you for your question, Director Goldman. I do not have the pre-COVID numbers right here. I did compare to FY25 budget and also to our actuals from FY24. Happy to respond to you after this meeting with the numbers back from pre-COVID, the FY19 numbers. What the projection showed, and there was a chart I had up, was the constant growth we have had since the lowest point of the pandemic. But again, I'm happy to share those numbers with you after this meeting. Thank you, sir.
If you could, my analyst at WSTC took some of your numbers from, I guess, either the appendix of your presentation or the KPI presentation, and worked it out to be about spring 2025 at about 67% overall Metro Rail versus spring 2019. Does that seem about right to you?
Likely, sir, but I'm happy to get you the real numbers after this meeting.
Yeah, Mr. Goldman, we had this conversation when we were in New York a week or two ago with the analysts. We are higher than that. We're in the 70s, but obviously they can get that information.
Yeah, I think that'd be good that we can clear up the confusion and just have some numbers comparing rail overall in spring or whatever, fourth quarter 25, whatever you want to use, versus fourth quarter of in 2019, and just get those out there to all board members and the public. That'd be great. Thanks.
Mr. Drummer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very impressed with the budget implications associated with ridership growth. We certainly want to replicate that in the future. Do you have any insight on the variables or factors that contributed to our ridership growth?
Thank you, Director Drummer. I think in the next presentation, our team will be getting into some of that. So if that's okay, we'll defer to there.
Perfect.
But certainly more activity and more return to office are major contributors to ridership growth.
Thank you.
And did you have a question too, Mr. Department? Okay. Okay. No further questions then. Why don't we move on to the next presentation, which does have some overlap in this one.
Good morning. This is the annual report on our progress on our regional opportunity and partnership goal. This goal is all about designing a transit service to move more people around the region and connect the growing region. I'm Jordan Holt. I'm the Senior Director of Performance, Benchmarking, and Customer Research. And I'm joined today by three colleagues: Catherine Vanderwort, Director of Ridership and Mobility Analysis; Liz Price, Vice President of Real Estate; and Erica Cunningham, Vice President of Community Engagement. This presentation's connection to the strategic plan is very clear. We're focused on one of our four goals: regional opportunity and partnership. The topics we'll cover today are, ridership. With the board and region support, we've made investments in our service over the past 4 years that have resulted in 50 consecutive months of ridership growth. And that growth is no accident. It is because we have made strategic investments and prioritized our investments based on what we know customers value most. We hear this from our customer satisfaction survey, and we see it borne out in the data, that frequency, speed, and connections to jobs and activities are really what matter. For example, we'll see that ridership is up most at the times of days and days of weeks where we've invested in frequency, and that more frequency and more stations have increased the average number of jobs accessible to residents in the region by 18%. These investments in speed and frequency have not only made our network more useful to our customers, but have also made us more efficient. We'll delve into that. The great news is that we have even more underway to continue this progress. Our bus network redesign launches in just 3 days and increases our investment in frequency while also increasing connections. As Liz will speak to, the Accelerated Joint Development Program that aims for 20 new agreements in just 10 years will bring more jobs and housing to our metro rail stations, and we are well on our way to achieving that goal with 5 new agreements signed since 2022. And as Erica will speak to, her office recently turned 1 and has already greatly increased Metro's community engagement activities. This helps us ensure that our investments and our resources are being used to design and deliver service that meets the community needs. There are 10 KPIs, or key performance indicators, associated with this strategic goal. The positive news is that we've made progress on all of them. The blue dot signifies that we've met the target that we set for this fiscal year. The light orange dot indicates that we are really close to meeting our target, and particularly for rail frequent and bus frequent service, this data is through May, so it's entirely likely that we'll meet it by the end of June. But you see for both of those, it's about where we expect to be. The rest of the presentation is going to delve into the details on that. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Catherine, who's going to talk about ridership.
Where do I point? Oh, okay. All right, thanks, Jordan. To talk about that top line ridership number, ridership metric, we know average monthly ridership through May was 21.7 million trips per month. That's above our target of 18.9 million trips per month, which puts us on track to exceed our goal for the fiscal year. Metro Rail's ridership growth is first in the nation among our large agency peers. That's 11% growth so far this fiscal year. And on Metro Bus, ridership is higher than pre-pandemic and is also seeing strong growth at 7%. There we go. So we know from our regular customer satisfaction surveys that, as Jordan mentioned, all customers on both rail, regardless of whether they're riding rail or bus, value frequency, speed, and reliability. On both bus and rail, we see from the survey data that these factors are even more important than things like safety from crime or cleanliness. So our investments in these areas have been incremental and built up over time to get us to where we are today. FY22 marked a big investment in our bus system with the launch of the frequent service network, and that really laid the groundwork for the principles that behind the new network that's launching on Sunday. In FY25, investments in automatic train operation are making our customer trips faster, now on all lines. FY26 is going to bring more investments in these things that customers value. The Better Bus Network aims to provide new connections and expand the frequent service network even further. Extended rail hours will provide more access to entertainment and help workers get to and from jobs at all hours. Extending the yellow line to Greenbelt will add frequency on a fast-growing section of the network. And continuing investments in bus priority will make trips faster and more reliable, which are the top 2 drivers of customer satisfaction. Alongside the investments in service, we have a similar track record of investing in our fare payment systems and policies to eliminate friction and reduce barriers to payment. Tap Ride Go is a major accomplishment this year. We're already seeing about 6% of Metro Rail trips using this new payment method. Just for comparison, when we added the option to pay with mobile wallet, it took 6 months to get to 6% of trips. Metro Lift, our income qualified fare program, just turned 2 years old, and we've reached 13,300 enrollees, which is 80% more than this time last year. More than 1.7 million trips have been taken on Metro since that launch 2 years ago, for a combined savings of over $2.2 million for participants. Next year, we're going to be working on starting the re-enrollment process for that program, so we may see some slower growth in the next year. In FY26, we're going to be expanding Tap Ride Go first to Metro Bus and then to parking. And we are also looking to build on the success of our UPass and Kids Ride Free in Apple Wallet programs by expanding those to Google Wallet. UPass and Apple Wallet made up 36% of UPass trips during this past fall semester. Over 11,000 university students and over 9,000 K through 12 students have converted their cards. So these investments have had the impact we were targeting, with double-digit improvements on some of those key metrics that Jordan was talking about. Access to frequent service on rail has increased 10 percentage points since fiscal year 2020. Access to frequent service on bus has increased 14 percentage points, and access to destinations has increased 18%. So given our approved service plans for FY26, we anticipate that these numbers are going to increase even further. And ridership is growing most where we've been adding that service. On bus, we are above pre-pandemic, as we were discussing earlier. Particularly the midday, we are up 21%, where we added 13% more service. On weekends, we've added 31% more service compared to 2019, and ridership is 26% higher than it was in 2019. We're running significantly more rail service on weekends than we were before the pandemic, and ridership has really responded to that as well. Especially on Sundays, we are running much more frequent service on all lines than we were in 2019, and ridership has increased by 31% compared to pre-pandemic. We do remain down on weekdays on rail, but we are growing very quickly there. I will get you all the full fiscal year numbers, but I know in March, our overall rail number, we were at 89% of March 2019. So when you're averaging those combining that weekday and weekend performance. And with that, I will turn it over to Liz.
Okay. I think I have one. So.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
So as Catherine was describing, we've made incremental investments over the last 4 or 5 years that have not only led us to a more useful network for an increased ridership, but have also resulted in cost efficiencies. So when we look at kind of our budget for FY26 compared to where we were in FY20, we're running more rail miles and more bus. We're running more service on bus as well, but we're doing it at a lower unit cost. And this is because of efficiencies in how we've designed that service. Running good frequencies all day means we need fewer peak vehicles and are able to schedule our staff more efficiently. So that lowers costs. And that's a strategy we've used both on rail and bus. On rail, I think you've heard through various budget presentations that a lot of our costs are fixed. So running more service takes advantage of available and already paid for system capacity. So that lowers operating cost per revenue mile as well. And then also on rail, our investments in automatic train operations increase speeds, which means that we can run more miles with the same amount of trains and people, which is also more efficient. On the bus side, our network redesign has enabled us to also identify efficiencies in our scheduling practices that reduce the amount of time that buses and operators are traveling to and from the beginning of bus routes. So that's another source of the efficiencies we see there. With that, I'll turn it over to Liz to talk about transit-oriented development.
Thank you, Jordan. Again, I'm Liz Price, Vice President of Real Estate and Development. The real estate team has been very busy in FY25, and we've achieved a number of significant milestones on more than a dozen projects. As Jordan mentioned, our primary metric here is trying to achieve 20 new joint development agreements in the next 10 years. And we have met our target for this year, which is 3 new joint development agreements approved, Tacoma and Twin Brook, and then Landover, we expect the board to approve next month. But as you know, there's a lot of work before we get to a JDA and a lot of work after we get to a JDA to actually get to projects delivered in communities. So we also wanted to report out on some of the upstream and downstream milestones that are important to our progress. We have announced this fiscal year 2 developers in response to solicitations we put out in 2024, both for Deanwood and North Bethesda, and we expect to announce a developer for Capitol Heights this fall. In addition, we have 4 JDAs under negotiation, Congress Heights, where we're working on with DC Public Libraries, and with Montgomery County Housing Opportunities Commission at Forest Glen, and Deanwood and North Bethesda have now advanced to JDA negotiations. In addition, we have 5 joint development projects either under construction or expected to break ground in 2025, which will total over 1,200 units of housing and 400,000 square feet of office space. So we also wanted to take the opportunity today to preview the board, the 2025 progress report on joint development, which we'll be releasing on Monday, which provides sort of an update on the accomplishments within the joint development program since we issued our strategic plan in 2022. In 2022, you'll recall, we kind of, for the first time, really calculated and provided the overall impact of this program to date in terms of projects built and taxes generated. The progress report updates all of our figures to provide the current status as well as future opportunities, and also highlights where we've made important progress. As you can see from the table, we now have 59 projects completed at 32 stations. They've delivered nearly 11,000 units of housing to the region. Annually, they contribute $220 million in taxes. And we estimate the future development potential of our portfolio is about 29 million square feet at 41 stations, which would add another $300 million in annual tax revenue to the region. We're also updating our website as part of this process, where stakeholders, public and private stakeholders will be able to search our maps and filter it by project and really see the details of what's been built, what's planned, and the status of projects. But I'll talk a little bit more about the important progress we've made in 3 areas over the last few years: closing and delivering on projects, accelerating development negotiations and approvals, and advancing development opportunities. Since 2022, we have closed on 8 projects, 8 developments have delivered, and we've sold 2 excess properties, totaling about 1,500 residential units, 800 of those affordable, and 1 million square feet of office. As we discussed, we have 5 developments under construction or breaking ground this year, and in total, all of these projects will deliver about 2,700 housing units and about $37 million in annual taxes. We've also been able to accelerate our development negotiations and approvals. This board has approved, or will in July, 5 new joint development agreements in the last 3 years, compared to 4 approvals in the 10 years prior to our 2022 plan. We are currently negotiating 4 joint development agreements. And in total, these projects that are in the works would add 4,000 housing units, 1 million square feet of office, retail, and library uses, and $50 million in annual tax revenue. We have a goal of further accelerating our negotiations and completing those in 6 to 9 months. And to support that, we have updated all of our transaction templates, streamlined our processes, and are working with external real estate advisors and outside counsel to support that output. You can see from the graph on the right that we are at nearly halfway to our goal of 20 JDAs by 2032. And finally, we have been making strides in advancing development opportunities. In 2024, we issued 4 solicitations for Capitol Heights, Deanwood, Eisenhower, and North Bethesda, compared to 4 solicitations issued in the 10 years prior to the 2022 plan. We've selected 2 developers and expect a third this fall. In order to support and increase the marketability of our sites, we've enhanced our site planning process, our solicitation process, and tried to address risks up front that improve the attractiveness of our sites and the responsiveness of the market to our opportunities. These include right-sizing our transit facilities, addressing transit replacement cost, updating our templates, and doing market sounding prior to putting out opportunities. We also have worked closely with jurisdictional partners to address financial feasibility challenges, and we are very proud and grateful that there's been almost $190 million of state, local, and federal investment in our joint development projects that has made all of this possible. And with that, I will turn to Erica.
Actually, let's pause for 1 second, Liz, because this is your last meeting with us as well. I think it's been about 4 years you've been here?
Just about.
It's about 4 years. It's been an extraordinary 4 years. So this is a fitting way for you to end your tenure here, just talking through the accomplishments. We're really grateful for the way that you've really accelerated this real estate program and really turned it into something that we're all proud of. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, and I'll just thank you to the board and to Randy and everybody for your support. We've put a lot of things to this board in 4 years, and you've been running with us and helping us keep this pace. And I also just want to recognize the tremendous staff in the real estate and development office, because all of this is the result of their hard work, as well as many other people in this building and outside of this building. It takes a really collaborative process, and so kudos and thanks to all.
Thank you. Okay. One more section left, I think.
Yes, good morning. I won't be before you long, but I am very excited to provide some highlights and updates on what the community relations and outreach team has been doing since I joined February 2024. We really work to streamline across the authority all of the great work that Metro had already been doing in the community, and just being a little more strategic and intentional about how we created two-way conversations with our strategic stakeholders. And so we've looked at volunteerism, working across, again, the authority with MTPD, bus and rail, and the fare and service programs, to really make sure that the community understands all that is available to them when using our services, and how we can better partner and collaborate. Sorry about that. So we did Filibus. This was our 7th annual Filibus, and we provided, in between the food collected, which was more than 2,000 pounds and over $18,000, that converted to 46,000 meals for families in our region, and that was up 25% of our target goal. So we were really excited about that initiative. We also continue to work with partners in the district, creating hype zones where we work very closely with MTPD for events like the Her Story 5K, the Marine Corps Marathon, where we just kind of give a little extra oomph as people are on the trail, to let them know that Metro is here, and after their race or bike ride, they can jump on our bus or train to get where they're going. We also are working with our collaborative efforts with community partners like our bids. We brought back Metro Live concerts this year, cost neutral, again, just to enhance the customer experience and collaborate with partners in the community. We're also working closely with all schools with Kids Ride Free, UPass, with our fare and service programs. So just making sure that we are engaging, not only to show what our community service efforts are, but also that Metro is a great place to work. a career pipeline for many. So we're engaging more with our colleges and universities as well as our high schools. We're impacting the community, and not just through small events. We are reaching hundreds of thousands of people across the DMV. We had more than 450 community events this year, 25,000 direct customer contacts. That's where someone on our team, including me, had a one-on-one conversation with someone, shared fare and service information, shared information about our art and transit program, just real interaction, not just someone walking past our booth. We increased our outreach with our non-English speaking customers by 25%, and outreach in general was up 13% FY24 over FY25. And we're also being intentional about reducing costs and reducing our use of contractors, and really being strategic about how we work across the authority to engage with the community, and making sure that we are not just spending money and resources that we have the capability to do internally. So I've been spending a lot of time looking at our processes, working across the authority to just streamline how we can reach the public. And in closing, what's on the horizon? I think you all have heard of something called Better Bus. We are knee-deep. We are almost at the finish line with our outreach and activities. We've had over 100 community events, really just making sure that we are reaching seniors, school-age children, our jurisdictional partners. We instituted the Better Bus Partners, and that really gave us a lot of reach to communities that we might not have touched. So we have businesses, churches, parks and recreation organizations. So we've really had a lot of help to amplify the changes that are coming on the 29th. We're continuing to increase our capacity to touch the community. Again, we're redefining our volunteers, looking at how we engage our MIPS. Again, just creating two-way conversation with the community to amplify and elevate all of the great work that we're doing, and to make sure that the public is engaged timely as it relates to our capital projects. We're continuing to engage with student riders, making sure that safety is a priority, also making sure that they are aware of any fare service program that might be eligible to them or their families, Apple Wallet conversions, UPass. We just want to make sure that we are spreading the word and engaging our youth riders and making sure that they're engaging with the system safely. And then we have some special events which help people get a little closer bird's eye view of what it takes to operate Metro with our special event, Metro Fest. It's similar to a Truck Touch event where we invite the community out. They get to see all of the equipment that helps the train stay on the track. They get to see the historic bus and a number of opportunities just to engage with Metro team members and employees. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Great presentation. Lots of data, lots of information there. Pretty much all of it trending in the right direction. Are there any questions or comments from committee members first? Director
I
Klein?
do.
Okay, we'll go to Director Klein first and then to, I think, Chair Santos. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Letourneau. Mostly just comments. First of all, the transformation in the joint development process has been remarkable. I feel like the team is fully approaching this and embracing this with a how can we say yes attitude, which is something we always would hope would be the case. I don't know that it's always been the case, but I see it now, and I hope that it can continue even after you depart, Liz, because that is one of the best ways to leverage the assets that we have in this region. And I was very pleased to see the percentage of affordable units going in around our stations, very important, which also relates to my other comment with regard to Metro Lift. I know that the re-enrollment period is coming up. I know that some of the team has talked with some of my colleagues on the board about making sure that re-enrollment process is as smooth and easy as possible. We don't want to lose people who could qualify just because they don't know they have to re-enroll or whatnot. So I just encourage the team to make sure that we are continuing as much as we can through all the outreach efforts to make that process as available and easy to use as possible. And I just think this is terrific. You've laid out some good goals for the next year as well. Bringing Tap Ride Go to Metro Bus and to parking is going to be really helpful. I hadn't anticipated actually how amazing that was going to be until I had a young adult child coming back from the airport at a time when it wasn't convenient to pick her up. You can just use your debit card at the Metro. Oh. So that's been fantastic for many reasons around the region. So I look forward to seeing that expand as well. So really just positive comments. Kudos to the teams that have been involved. Thank you.
Chair Santos.
Thank you. Similar to Director Klein, I just wanted to echo the comments about excellent presentation. I found this really easy to follow, and specifically, thank you so much, Liz and team, for your hard work on, particularly around joint development and trying to, I like the way Director Klein framed it, which is getting to yes, and what can we do to facilitate these things in as timely basis as possible. So Metro will definitely miss you. Very specific question, actually for Erica, which is we appreciate the emphasis on decreasing use of contractors and outside consultants, and I know this is a strategic push in different units. Just want to invite you to clarify, perhaps. I think there's a difference between decreasing use of consultants and the cost to provide a particular service, because sometimes it's cheaper to use in-house staff and sometimes it's cheaper to provide consultants. So the chart that was shown just seemed to focus on decreasing use of consultants, and can you just clarify or confirm that the emphasis is much more about what's the most efficient way to provide the same quality of service?
Absolutely. Thank you for your question. And I am speaking primarily about things that my team, which wasn't in place until February of 2024, there are a lot of things that we can do internally. So for example, community outreach, like meeting with community partners, coordinating with bids. We didn't need an intermediary to help us do that anymore. So that was a significant cost that we have now been able to bring in-house. But if you want to have a more detailed outline of what costs we have kind of taken off the table for contractors, I'd be happy to share that.
No, I think it was just more clarifying that it sounds like you're having in-house folks that have already been there taking on, so it's basically existing resources doing more of the work that otherwise would have been contracted for, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, correct. And we've been able to do that by kind of streamlining processes, looking at how we automating things, using technology to help us engage, push newsletters out. We now do quarterly virtual town hall meetings, which gives people outside of a board setting an opportunity to speak with us. So really just kind of harmonizing processes.
That sounds great. And it sounds like a great example of being innovative in a way to, like I said, deliver with existing resources in a more efficient manner. So thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, Director Martin Proctor.
Thank you, Chair. First and foremost, thank you so much for this presentation. It really kind of laid out everything that we're doing and a strategic path forward, and I think it's just amazing. I was just hoping for clarification and maybe a little bit more robust feedback on 3 things. And Erica, I apologize, they're all going to be directed towards you.
That's okay, I can handle it.
Outreach. And if we don't have it, that's okay. Specifically, the Art in Transit program, I was wondering if we have any numbers on how many schools we actually engaged with, I believe there were 3 that I know off the top of my head that we did and coordinated and participated in.
So that's a great question. I'll start there. We had over 60 entries for this year's Earth Day for Art in Transit. We picked one school or one winner from each footprint, Maryland, DC, Virginia, but we had a robust engagement with the program.
Great, thank you so much. As you know, I definitely enjoy that program because I think that art in general just makes the world a little bit better. My second question is with regards to, we talked a little bit about with regards to language engagement. I do believe that we are working and or have a direct partnership with Gallaudet, and I think we're bringing in more ASL interpretation and information and awareness. Can we speak a little bit towards that?
So yes, we are working not only with Gallaudet, Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind. We just really are making sure that we're reaching all parts of the community. So more to come on that. I recently hired a director to help with community engagement and planned projects, who's going to really help us solidify some of these strategic, hard to reach populations. So the next time I am before you, we will have more detail on how we are engaging those populations.
Great, I really appreciate that. I heard a rumor that we might even be offering an ASL 101 for WMATA staff, friends and family. So I'm looking forward to, yes, thank you. I'm looking forward to that. Just last robust clarification and communication. I know that you are in partnership with our Metropolitan Police Department. And I had the honor and the pleasure of doing the closeout Youth Advisory Council event. Can you run me some numbers on that? And I know that we're also moving forward with regards to connecting those amazing youth with our internships, projects, and apprenticeships here at WMATA. If we can get
absolutely.
Thank you.
I don't have firm numbers. I know that there were at least 100 students here because
there was overflow.
It was overflow.
Yes.
I work very closely with my colleague Shonda Lewis, so if I could get you some specific numbers just for the 2025 fiscal year, what the engagement was. And we are looking to expand and go on a quarterly basis to Maryland and to Virginia. So really looking at how we can continue to grow the Youth Advisory Council.
I think that's wonderful and brilliant. Thank you so much. And looking forward to hearing from Ms. Lewis one day at the dais.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think if there's no further questions coming from any member of the board on the finance items, then we will stand adjourned. And I will turn the floor over to Mr. Drummer for today's meeting of the Elections Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Letourneau, and welcome to the Elections Committee meeting. I'm Don Drummer, the committee chair, and I'm joined by 3 committee members, Mr. Letourneau, Ms. Martin Proctor, and Ms. Worth filling in for Dr. Haddon Lowe. We'll start with approval of the agenda. Are there any objections or suggested changes by members of the committee? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Now to approval of 2 sets of minutes. The first is the public meeting in June 2024, and the second set is the committee's executive session on the 12th of June, a couple of weeks ago, noting that the certifying statement and the signature blocks have been corrected. Any objections to the minutes as amended? Hearing none, both sets of minutes have been approved or are approved. We have one action item on the agenda, and the task is to nominate the board officers for fiscal year 2026. The board has aligned officers' terms with Metro's fiscal year, which runs from the 1st of July to the 30th of June. As such, officers who are nominated in this committee meeting and elected at the board meeting will begin their terms on July 1st. I move the following individuals serve as the board's officers for fiscal year 2026. Chair, Valerie Santos. First Vice Chair, Paul Smedberg. And second Vice Chair, Joe McAndrew. Can I get a second from a committee member?
Second.
Second by Ms. Martin Proctor. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, I'll ask Ms. Ellison to conduct the vote.
Chair Drummer,
Aye.
Mr. Letourneau,
Aye.
Ms. Worth,
Aye.
Ms. Martin Proctor.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you, Ms. Ellison. These nominations will now be referred to the board for action at our meeting later this morning. With no further business to come before this committee, we stand adjourned. At this point, we will transition to our Safety and Operations Committee meeting. I am the chair, and I'll be joined, and I'm joined by Vice Chair Martin Proctor, Mr. Smedberg, and Ms. Worth standing in for Dr. Lowe. Again, our first order of business is to approve the agenda. Are there any objections by members of the committee? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Now to approval of the minutes of our May 15th meeting. Are there any objections? Hearing none, we'll consider the minutes approved as presented. We have two information items on today's agenda. The first is the Quarterly Service Excellence Report, and the second is an introductory presentation on Team Metro's supply chain management transformation. Without further ado, I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Webster and Ms. Holt to begin our presentations.
Great. Me again. I'm Jordan Holt, Senior Director of Performance Benchmarking and Customer Research. And today we're here to talk about the Q3 FY25 Service Excellence Report. This covers the entire 9-month period of fiscal year 25 from July 1st of 2024 through March 31st of 2025. So most of the numbers you're seeing in here are for that 9-month period. Like the last presentation, this one is very clearly connected to our strategic transformation plan. We're covering all of our key performance metrics related to service excellence. Some highlights that we'll focus on today are our customer satisfaction, which is our goal level key performance indicator. Pleased to report we met our target for all 3 modes. We'll delve in a bit more to those details. As we've heard previously, ridership is up 8% during those first 9 months. That first 9 months marks 58 consecutive months. If we include April and May, that's 48 consecutive months. And if we include April and May, that brings us up to 50. Good news is that crime continues to be down across the system. Over the course of the fiscal year, it's down 40%. And it's not just that crime is down, but customers are noticing, so our perception of safety has also improved. Finally, service reliability continues to be an area of focus. I'll cover some of the initial benefits that we've seen from our return to automatic train operation, which was how our system was designed to operate. We have 26 service excellence key performance indicators in our strategic transformation plan. And so far this fiscal year, performance is looking good. We're either meeting target or trending in the right direction for 23 of those 26 KPIs. Again, to read this chart, blue means that we've met the target so far for this fiscal year. Orange means that we're not quite meeting the target. But we're also looking at whether things are moving in the desired direction in Q3 relative to Q2, and that's what that check mark indicates in that next column. I'll be focused on a subset of these performance measures in today's presentation, but all of the information for all of the measures is included in the full report. Customer satisfaction, as I reported, we've met our target for all 3 modes. On Metrorail, this is continuing the trend over the last year, over the last 4 quarters, where we've been performing at 89 to 92% customer satisfaction. We know from our customers that the key drivers are reliable service, frequent service with short wait times, and fast service with short travel times. These are the top 3 drivers of satisfaction and continue to be. And the increase or the sustained good performance and satisfaction is a result of our investments in those areas. On bus, those are also the drivers of satisfaction. And one example we see there about why frequency matters is we can look at satisfaction for customers who ride our more frequent service. So that's service every 20 minutes or better. And that satisfaction is 82%. And we look at that compared to our customers who ride less frequent service. That's 74% satisfaction. So there's a strong correlation there. On Metro access, this is one mode where we saw a significant improvement in satisfaction this quarter compared to last quarter. And that's correlated with the efforts that we've been taking to make the service more reliable, to work with our contractors. So we'll see in a few slides, we did see an improvement in on-time pickup performance, and we know that's what's behind this increase in satisfaction. So like bus and rail, our Metro access customers want our service to be fast and reliable as well. On crime, I mentioned we're down about 40% compared to where we were this time last year. Really want to call your attention to that line graph on the left side of the chart. That's where we see just a continued decrease, which is really positive and encouraging. We hit a 7-year low in our crime rate in February, and I will preview what you'll see in Q4. In April and May, we kind of sustained these levels, and the line continues to go down there. And what I like to see is, crime is our hard numbers, but it also is reflected in customer perceptions. So in particular on the rail system, which is the top bar graph there, you see these are the % of customers saying they feel unsafe in the system. So we want a lower number here. And you see that it's been trending down as well. It's been going down and kind of almost in a similar shape as our crime rate. So that's always good when subjective data and objective data match. On the reliability side, we did see improvements in reliability in Q3 for all 3 modes. You can see this in particularly pronounced for Metro access, where we saw a big jump in on-time pickup performance in January that was sustained in February, and a small drop in March. As you'll see with bus, the drop in March, which also had a similar shape, the drop in March is related to increased traffic congestion across the region as we saw more people return to work. We saw an increase in ridership in March as more people return to work, but also more people are also driving to work as well. The jump up between kind of November and December and January is related to work that our Metro Access team has been doing with contractors to open a new garage in Montgomery County that enables us to serve customers in that area more without having to drive as far to pick them up. So that reduces the risk of being late. On bus, we also saw improvements in Q3 relative to where we were in Q2. I already mentioned kind of a similar impact in March of an increase in traffic congestion. And one of the ways that the region and Metro have been working to address that impact of traffic on our service is to invest in bus priority lanes. This fiscal year, we almost doubled the amount of bus priority lanes in the region compared to last fiscal year, thanks to partnership with our jurisdictions. On rail, also saw improvements in Q3. We've actually seen kind of a steady improvement over the course of the fiscal year. Some of this is related to our investment in returning to automatic train operation. Automatic train operation makes speeds more consistent as trains travel between stations, which improves reliability. It improves schedule adherence and it improves customer on-time performance. And what's been interesting from a kind of nerdy evaluation perspective is the way that we've rolled out automatic train operation, because we've rolled it out on different lines. You can kind of see how these impacts compound over time. And it is kind of compounding because we are taking a data-driven approach to learning about how automatic train operation works in our system, to then use that data to continue to adjust our schedules appropriately to take in account of the time savings. So the red line is where we clearly launched it first in December, and then had our first schedule adjustment in January and our second one in June. And that's where we have been able so far to see the biggest impacts. It's been around the longest. And there we see that customer trips are faster. Almost all customer trips on the red line are faster now than they were before we launched automatic train operation, on average by 100 seconds. So that's almost 2 minutes faster. And that is related to trains operating faster, both with the increase in design speeds and the reliability. And so we've seen that impact also not only on faster trips, but on the ability of our customers to be on time. Green and yellow, it's only been around in automatic train operation a little less than a month. So you see that we're just starting to see the impact there. And so those impacts will accrue over time as we continue to get the data needed to adjust our schedules. But already we are seeing some positive impacts on customers. 60% of trips are already faster, and by on average kind of 35 seconds to 70 seconds. Blue, orange, silver, we just launched it a week or so ago. And unfortunately, because of the rain and the heat, haven't been able to fully run ATO in our outdoor sections of the track. So that's something we'll be kind of continuing to monitor and see the impact. And that concludes the presentation for today. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much. Again, excellent presentation, inspiring outcomes. Really appreciate the work behind the outcomes. A lot of folks have vision on where they want to go. You're delivering, and this team has delivered. So thank you very much for that. I do have one question, then I'll turn it over to committee members and then board members if they have questions. Going to slides 51 and 52. Bus on-time performance. I noticed that the variation between bus and then rail on-time performance is different. On bus, January, February, March, and June, July, August, you have your highs. And on bus, we have October, November, December, and April and May, we have our lows, if you will. And we have more of a smoother operations or fewer lows and highs with rail. Can you explain what happens on the bus side?
Great. Yeah, it's all about rail operates in a controlled environment, right? So yes. there's no traffic to deal with. We have our dedicated right of way. So that really, that's what you see is the impact on the bus side. Why we have this seasonality, which you pointed out, is really related to regional traffic patterns. So we tend to see when kind of in the winter time, traffic is less. So we see kind of a higher on-time performance. And then it drops in the fall when people return to school, and we see a bigger kind of impact of that.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Committee members, comments, questions? Other board members? Okay, very good. Again, thank you very much. Great progress, and we'll continue to move forward. At this time, we'll transition to our next presentation. And we'll move to the supply chain management transformation. I want to point out that this is the first time in my tenure that we received a presentation on supply chain management, and in this case, transformation. And I have to tell you, it is quite inspiring. So thank you very much.
Very good to hear, Chair. We know you're passionate about the topic from your past experience, so thank you. So good morning, Chair Drummer, Vice Chair Martin Proctor, and board members. Today, I am presenting with Shashir Ramirez, who I believe you all know is our Chief Fleet Officer. We are here to share information about supply chain management, including the scope of their responsibilities, as well as future plans for modernization that the authority has. Through this presentation, we'll introduce the key functions of supply chain at Metro and our ongoing efforts to increase efficiency. We'll start by providing an overview of supply chain and its responsibilities. We'll look at recent improvements made to the department, as well as discuss additional opportunities for upgrades that will support the department's function. Finally, we'll close the presentation, Shashir will, with a discussion of planned modernization efforts. As the board is well aware, the strategic transformation plan guides all that we do at the authority. Today's presentation focuses on Metro's strategic goal of financial stewardship and will highlight supply chain's work to support service excellence, which they execute through Steve's leadership on a daily basis. Supply chain management works across Metro to support daily operations through comprehensive lifecycle management, as is the case with many agencies and disciplines across the country. Supply chain management primarily supports the fleet division of operations. That's about 70% of supply chain parts and material are associated with fleet. However, the office also oversees material needs for a variety of other departments throughout operations, infrastructure, and the authority writ large. The material that supply chain handles runs the gamut from small to large, from cleaning supplies to nuts and bolts to bus axles to rail car compressors. Supply chain holds regularly scheduled meetings with staff from fleet, infrastructure, digital modernization, safety, procurement, amongst others. This ensures groups are regularly engaged in new and ongoing initiatives and also allows direct feedback to the appropriate management staff within supply chain management. So basically, they can get feedback from their peers about how they're doing. Pardon me. The primary role of supply chain traditionally is associated with materials management and overseeing warehouse storage logistics. This includes all aspects of parts management, from the procurement phase through inspection upon receipt and distributing to internal groups. For example, supply chain is partnering with real estate and facilities to understand the authority's actual warehousing needs to maximize use of owned space and divest from leased warehouse space. Recently, both supply chain and materials have been intently focused on cost mitigation measures, refined contract language to better partner with vendors as Metro attempts to determine the impacts of tariffs and other supply chain disruptions based on current economic conditions. Supply chain management functions have not always been centralized at Metro, and this is a bit unusual in the industry. In the spring of 2019, Metro established a centralized office under operations in an effort to standardize Metro's inventory practices. A coordinated supply chain effort ensures both quality and availability of necessary parts, as well as contract adherence for many operations and infrastructure offices. From 2019 to 2025, supply chain management reported directly to the Chief Operations Officer. After the creation of the Fleet Division last year, we changed this model where supply chain now reports directly up to Fleet, to Mr. Ramirez. This is certainly far more in line with what the industry does. In 2019, the office started with providing analytics functions to improve planning of storage and use of materials. In 2020, vendor-managed inventory processes were introduced, meaning a third party provides low or difficult to source material under a single purchasing umbrella, which is far more efficient and we have found cost effective. Supply chain also improved the value recovery process. The Investment Recovery Office shifted from localized auctions to divest material to a global auction platform. For instance, by utilizing this wider marketplace, Metro saw increased return on service vehicle sales from approximately $600 each to approximately $7,500 each. At the same time, the enhanced quality assurance to provide near real-time surveillance of both key inventory items and inventory processes to ensure the effectiveness of the procurement and receipt process, prevent discrepant material from entering the authority's supply chain, and working with vendors to improve their service quality. Real-time information provides dashboard level overviews of key performance indicators to include in-stock rate and critical out-of-stock items. This improved visibility across the entire inventory comprises about 776,000 unique items and is greatly appreciated by supply chain's customers base. Supply chain management has 25 warehouses located throughout Metro's service area with stored value of approximately $187 million in inventory in fiscal year 2025. The locations are strategically located adjacent to major operations, including rail yards and bus facilities. 3 new facilities at Dulles Yard, Bladensburg, and Andrews Bus Garage have opened since 2019. As part of the space planning efforts, a comprehensive assessment of warehouses is needed to evaluate current state of facilities and identify actions required to maintain warehouses in a state of good repair. At this point, I'll turn the presentation over to Shashil.
Good morning, all. Thank you, sir. So as previously discussed, supply chain has expanded our disposal channels and have started using a centralized marketplace to increase value recovery. In doing so, we've shifted from a regional auction practice that typically provided repeat customers with low value recovery and a limited reach to an online platform which has increased our bidder population located nationally and internationally, which has realized greater bid competition and generally higher financial recovery. Increasing our stakeholder compliance with internal directives to identify and remove obsolete materials remains a priority for the supply chain department. This ensures that we divest material and recover value at full capacity. We divested approximately 5 million of obsolete material in fiscal year 24 and approximately half that in fiscal year 25 to date, avoiding a combined carrying cost of just about $2 million. This is a vital part of Metro's strategy for financial efficiency, as we estimate that 25% reduction in carrying cost relative to the amount of material that's divested. Supply chain is also partnering with our regional partners and non-governmental organizations to provide support, for example, to area shelters. We've provided luggage donations to local shelters, and we've donated bikes to organizations that are committed to teaching DC youth about engineering through bike repair. Additionally, we've also supported partners by providing fare boxes to Alexandria, Virginia in support of their aging fleet, and just recently provided buses to PG County in support of the Better Bus Network redesign. Finally, we also partner internally with internal stakeholders such as procurement on developing contract language revisions that support the authority's goals and assist with our bargaining positions. This partnership is also crucial when we prepare Metro for supply chain disruptions. Unfortunately, there have been fairly frequent 3 major disruptions recently. The COVID-19 supply chain disruption. Supply chain was instrumental in procuring and distributing masks for both employees and riders, as well as hand sanitizer and disinfectant as needed. Additionally, during the Continental Pipeline cyber attack, where all diesel deliveries to the East Coast were shut down, supply chain led the effort to ensure that there was continuous delivery of fuel to Metro so that by Monday morning, we had uninterrupted service. While supply chain management has made great advances and strides, there remain areas of opportunity where we have identified to focus our modernization and efficiency efforts. We have targeted 3 core areas that are identified on the slide where Metro believes we can increase cost effectiveness and savings for the authority. The first area is material management, and specifically supply chain's ability to perform accurate parts forecasting. This is critical as improving parts forecasting will align material use with the needs and ultimately reduce material cost. Forecasting is currently done with fairly basic methods today, and the authority is exploring rigorous and effective methodologies based on material type and quality. The second area of opportunity is warehouse logistics, which includes modernizing storage and handling procedures, as well as data practices to realize efficiencies and performance improvements. This is a critical focus area due to the inventory velocity that's handled by Metro. On average, approximately $4.5 million of inventory is reseated and issued at the main storeroom on a weekly basis. Currently, we have a task order to identify and build a roadmap for other modernization opportunities. And finally, as we briefly discussed, Metro is focusing on investment recovery. Supply chain has already started to make improvements in this area. However, there's more work to be done, specifically by partnering with community engagement to identify other potential partnerships, but also focusing on expanding divestment opportunities with internal customers and looking to utilize additional external marketplaces to advance the financial recovery. As always, internal stakeholder partnerships are critical and will be the key in moving the needle in these areas. We continue to identify ways to make supply chain more efficient, such as decreasing the amount of unproductive inventory on hand. We define unproductive inventory as inventory with no demand in the prior 24 months and currently valued at just over $30 million. This helps us to better align our storage with operational needs. And internally, we've set a metric of reduction of $3 million annually. To put that in context, however, while unproductive inventory value may sound excessive, it's really important to differentiate Metro's supply chain model versus those used by the typical large-scale commercial distributors. I think everyone in the room is familiar now with same-day or next-day shipping. This model is used by commercial distributors to focus on quick movement of inventory at large scales. While Metro is borrowing the best practices from these industries, our process must also support uninterrupted daily service of diverse fleets of rolling stock. We must also do this through a variety of useful lives. Our buses are typically 15 years and rail cars 40 years, sometimes exceeding that, and maintain an in-stock rate that effectively supports all of our operations. Metro currently maintains an in-stock rate, that's the percentage of time parts are available as needed, exceeding 95%, which is considered world-class for the transit industry. Metro's inventory must therefore account for challenges with multiple supply chains while effectively balancing significant obsolescence issues due to our rolling stock useful life and a variety of components that are used on them. There are three priorities of the modernization efforts. The first is improving data availability and expanding the use to drive decision-making. The next is expanding our partnerships across Metro and the region and engaging other stakeholders to increase both oversight and management of materials for teams across Metro. And lastly, advancing warehouse logistics and storage of material. We anticipate seeing several benefits from focusing on these areas, which include enhanced tracking of material use to improve inventory forecasting, increasing value recuperated at the end of useful life, and having materials where they are needed to support reliable service delivery. As a roadmap for the modernization approach, these initiatives will obviously roll out in phases, with the focus of each phase shown in the timeline here. Phase 1 is currently underway and focuses on identifying the correct scope and capabilities of supply chain and the use of technology, specifically barcoding. I think most of the folks in the room are familiar with the use of barcodes as self-checkout counters at this point. Very similar technology adaptation being pursued by Metro, where salient data characteristics are embedded in the barcode, and that barcode is used to receipt the material into our storerooms and inventory. There are significant benefits of this, both from a labor efficiency perspective, but also a data integrity perspective, and the ability to integrate that into our enterprise resource planning modules. Once completed, we'll have the foundation to begin phase 2, which is optimizing all warehouse locations and incorporating and capitalizing the interoperability of barcoding for accuracy and understanding material and labor. We expect this to take approximately 12 months. Finally, phase 3 will expand external partnerships, which is the key to value investment recovery that we discussed previously. We'll look at software improvements to assist with space utilization to optimize storage density and assist us in visualizing how much of our overall storage space is currently being used and how much is available for additional storage capacity. Software will help us to optimize the quantity, location, and delivery schedule and forecast space usage to ensure continued access. It will also further help us with obsolete material analysis and improve material turnover. And finally, phase 4 will look at automation of processes to include robust use of AI analytics and robotic processes for high volume and repetitive tasks. If fully funded, we anticipate phases 1 and 2 to take up to 36 months, and to implement phases 3 to 4 an additional 24 months. The bottom of the slide illustrates how these efforts are interconnected and the benefits that Metro anticipates by deploying the barcode program, which is currently under test with the elevator escalator group as an example. We are, of course, partnering with internal stakeholders, specifically our digital modernization group and procurement groups, to ensure the barcoding requirements flow down and are integrated into future procurement requirements. Lastly, there's a very close relationship between facilities and supply chain, and therefore they work together to make better use of our current space and use a data-driven approach to strategically plan for storage facilities in the future. The current initiatives underway is the development of a scope for the assessment of leased spaces to identify opportunities to reduce leased space storage and thereby increase savings. We're looking into a redesign project for spaces next to the main storage facility, which is storeroom 400, and converting that as needed. Metro has already completed mapping roughly a quarter of the department storage facilities, and we'll be expanding that to further provide data to support this effort. If we plan on expanding to additional facilities, we'll balance the local customer need with the overall authority inventory posture and anticipated inventory growth, with the ultimate goal being to reduce the use of leased spaces and ensure there's sufficient spare space to avoid any future needs for leases. Overall, the strategic planning for facilities can be broken down into 3 primary steps that are fairly simple. The first is quantifying how much storage space we actually have. And we're working to tag our existing storage space utilities and coordinating with internal groups on inventory management and assessment. Determine how much space we actually need, which is a function of our material usage. And then finally, incorporating supply chain storage needs into the facilities master plan, which has the goals of improving utilization of our current facilities and identifying opportunities to consolidate where practicable, reducing the number of facilities that Metro leases, which ultimately reduces expenditures, and aligning location of materials where they're needed most often and most used, while keeping in mind the big picture, which is ultimately optimizing the way this process works. This concludes the presentation, and happy to take any questions.
Brian and Shashil, thank you very much for this confidence-building presentation. What a great opportunity to reimagine and accurately define requirements, internal and external capabilities and objectives in this arena. Yatende and Tom, I'm sure you're going to be excited about the outcomes here because there's a lot of cost savings and cost avoidance embedded inside of this transformation that they're embarking on. I'll just leave you with one thought before I open the floor to committee members and to board members. And that one thought is, and I know you're aware of it, the rail fleet, the bus fleet, infrastructure, and the vehicle fleet, sustainment, all have very unique demands in supply chain. And a big hand over a little map will not solve problems in each one of them. So just respect the details in each one of those as you look at all of the solution sets that you plan to apply toward that, whether it's warehousing, technology, and the other things associated with it. Very impressed with the way you're moving here. And again, tremendously confidence building and a lot of savings, cost and cost avoidance embedded here. So thank you very much.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Committee members, comments? Okay. Paul?
Chair.
Mr. Smidberg?
Thank you. Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure if this would go to Brian or Shashil, but a question. There's been a lot of talk at DMV Moves about the possibility of, working together as a region on procurement issues and things like that with bus and other issues. Shashil, so is this type of or certain aspects of this, how scalable is this for us here if we say became a coordinating or lead coordinator for some procurement related issues and things like that for other partners?
So I think that's a long-term
make sense?
strategic goal. No, it does make sense. Thank you for the question. And I think the completion of this effort certainly facilitates expanding and the scalability to that. So we are, continuously looking for partnerships. Specifically, rolling stock is an area where the industry tends to partner really well with regional and other authorities to execute procurements. So to your question, there are opportunities here once we are able to quantify our current practice to partner on procurements specifically for critical components that other partners are having issues with as well. So apologies for probably a non-quantifiable response to your question.
No. It just,
But the takeaway is,
but it's
yes,
something.
there is an opportunity here to partner from a procurement perspective.
Director Smedberg, I'd just add that I think we've been a leader in kind of advocating for the industry for things like a common design for transit buses. And certainly if we in the industry were successful in that in the next couple of years, that would certainly support the idea of supporting kind of a larger bus fleet that would be cross-regional if necessary.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other committee members? Ms. Santos?
Thank you. First of all, I am so pleased to see this presentation. This has been one of the topics that I've been very curious about and see that there's tremendous opportunity. And I think you all did an excellent job of framing the issues. And I appreciate that you highlighted the opportunities where we can continue to improve and the innovative ways to leverage technology to save costs. I particularly note that it sounds like you're setting some goals about decreasing carrying costs for items in the warehouses, as well as decreasing the cost of space occupancy, which I think, while undoubtedly, smaller numbers relative to some of the major capital expenditures, I think they all makes a difference and will help us in terms of being able to plow those resources into service, which is where I know the priority is. My question actually is very similar to Director Smedberg, which is, could you just provide some general high-level guidance on what's the time frame for executing on some of these strategies? Is this something you're planning to roll out by the end of this upcoming fiscal year? Could you just give us some high-level goals about, what are some interim metrics you're trying to hit, and then perhaps like in 2 years you'd like to hit some other metrics? So whether I know procurement is an area that Director Smedberg mentioned, but it seems that another potential opportunity is shared warehouse space or other themes like that. Thanks.
Thanks for the question. And reverting to slide 10, which really just builds out the roadmap, and specifically we are expecting phase 1 to take between 6 to 18 months. We do have the pilot program that's currently underway, so that's probably on the low end of that timeline by executing it with elevator escalator, and then up to about 18 months or so to expand that through the rest of the storerooms that we have. And obviously, we will be integrating with other stakeholders and applying lessons learned. We purposely selected elevator escalator because of their small scale relative to the other departments, specifically fleet, as well as the controlled inventory that they have. Other items will take fairly longer, so we anticipate completion of phases 1 and 2 taking up to 36 months for full deployment of that effort. And then phases 3 to 4, working internally with our digital modernization team on the software improvements and building that into our existing architecture, up to 24 months as well. Those are fairly long timeframes, but obviously there are some minimum viable products and milestones that we're going to be targeting within those as well. So specifically to the one point of your question, which is as we expand barcoding throughout the authority, in parallel, we will need to start developing, for example, procurement and contract language to feed that down into our procurements to ensure that vendors are starting to adopt that business model as well. But succinctly to your question, I think it's phases 1 and 2 up to 36 months with some interim benefits as we go along. And then phases 3 to 4, probably another additional 24 months.
Thanks. And it seems intuitively, it sounds like there's significant, there's a return on investment in terms of Metro investing in the technology required to unlock these, operational efficiency and cost savings. It would be helpful. I mean, this is great, and look forward to the next update, whether it's in 6 months or I'm not sure when you all are coming back, but would look forward to hearing more about some of those metrics around return on investment. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Klein?
Thank you. Thanks for this presentation. I think that this is another indication of just how vast WMATA's work is and how many components and people are involved in making all this happen every day. So thank you for opening my eyes to the extent of this and where all the warehouses are and the challenges associated with that. And also just the willingness to relook at the way we do things and not just keep doing things the way we have been because that's the way we've been doing them. My question is, as you likely know, the US DOT is looking at all of its regulations and guidance to make sure that we're not unintentionally inhibiting local transit agencies from operating efficiently and we're not kind of introducing barriers to improvements. Are there federal regulations with regard, I know there are spare ratio guidance or requirements for vehicles, I think. Are there other federal regulations and are they supportive of what you're doing, or is there something we should be looking at there?
Specifically for how we manage inventory, I'm not aware of any federal regulations. I will take that as an action to get back to you, of course. But to your point, the regulations that exist specific to rolling stock equipment, for example, there isn't a parallel on the supply chain currently.
Good. I mean, I think what you're doing is designed to increase efficiency, looking at industry best practices and what we can do here. So I think that's terrific. Thank you.
That your experience-based leadership and engagement, it's been very consequential. We thank you for all that you have done. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate that.
Chair, thank you very much. I'll consider that praise from Caesar, and it's been a wonderful ride for 3 years. I worked at a property and grew up at a property before this in Boston, and I just never thought I would have the same feel at work for the people I worked with, and it's just been an absolutely amazing experience across the board. And just the amount of excellent public service that gets done here every day and what a committed team of people can do when they're focused and when they know they can make improvements. I'm a visitor. The folks who work here and, generally live here and grew up here, and just, I think it's really been a source of pride for folks about what's happened. So really appreciate that, Chair. And I just want to thank the general manager publicly for giving me a shot at this position. We've known each other for 20 years. We worked together in Boston. In the old days, we used to call that a nationwide search, but just how the team has coalesced around what's been done here has been pretty remarkable. And that's from the general manager on down to the station manager level. So thank you, Chair.
And I also want to reinforce your teamwork with Teresa Impastato and the safety team, and comprehensively paid huge dividends as they transformed that domain inside of this organization as well. So thank you for
Appreciate it, Chair. Thank you very
Shashil,
much.
you blew me away with your logistics knowledge. We knew Shashil was a master when it came to the technical side of infrastructure and fleet, but had no idea you were also a master logistician. So thank you for that.
I appreciate it, but all credit to Steve Spielik and the team for educating me on this topic. So thank you, Chair.
Fantastic. Okay. If there are no other comments, questions, thank you. And with no other items to come before the committee today, we stand adjourned, and we're going to take a quick break prior to starting the board meeting.
Good morning. Well, actually, yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sarah Klein, Principal Director representing the federal government, and I'll be chairing today's board meeting. Thank you so much for being here today, and we're going to begin with the approval of the agenda. I'd like to consider the agenda approved as presented. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. We have 3 sets of minutes for approval: the board meeting on May 15th, executive session on May 15th, and executive session on June 12th, all 2025. I'd like to consider these minutes approved as presented. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. We don't have an employee spotlight today, so we're going to move right into the public comment and reports by our advisory bodies. And I'm going to start with those who are here in person, who have signed up to provide public comment. We do have a number of speakers today, so I'll just remind everyone that there is a 2-minute limit for those who are here to speak in person. The first speaker that I have listed is Linda Green. Ms. Green, if you're here, great.
Thank you. I have a couple of points I want to make. The first is I want to support all of these union workers here who have been keeping the system going. And as I'm increasingly riding the train as I've retired. And I really appreciate having people around to help me understand how the system works. And I'm sure that I speak for many, many people riding the train. So the idea that everything can be automated really has to be rethought. The second thing, though, that I wanted to bring up today, which is a little different, is that Metro, for some reason, decided to run a lot of ads about the Customs and Border Patrol recruitment for the U.S. government. And I feel like this was a mistake, and I'd like Metro to rethink its ideas about what it's advertising to the community. We're really concerned about these things, many of which, by the way, I've seen some magic markers on some of them. So I guess not everybody's been happy about those as well as myself. But the problem with those ads is that they are coming in a period of real attacks on immigrants. All types of law enforcement is being recruited to work with ICE, whether it's correction officers or local police, and anybody can be drafted into helping deport people and put them in detention centers. So I think it's bad to advertise that. And partly there's another aspect to this is international travel has also become increasingly anxious for people because of the attitude of the Customs and Border Patrol folks. And this applies even to the middle class and not just to immigrants and foreign travelers. And finally, the chilling effect on our neighbors and friends who are immigrants and even just people of color of any sort, I think is a mistake for Metro to have run those ads. And I hope you will not restart them and apologize for making them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Our next public comment is from Susan Flashman. Ms. Flashman?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Susan Flashman. I am a retired member of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 26. This morning, I am representing myself as a consumer of the Metro Rail system since it began, and the Metro bus system. It is my understanding that Metro plans to remove station managers currently located in station kiosks. This will promote a more dangerous operation and increase the risk of the public. Since I have lived in DC and Maryland, I have used Metro to go and return from my jobs. Although there are additional security measures now, some basic rules are unenforced, like no eating, no drinking, or keeping seating available for seniors and handicapped passengers. This lack of enforcement has created a sense of entitlement to a new generation of passengers. I have witnessed situations where senior sitting was not voluntarily given to seniors, even when reprimanded that it's the proper designation. Finally, there is no enforcement to check drivers using hanging handicap tags to have them supply the MVA proof of ownership that they are either the actual recipient of that hanging tag or that they are driving a handicapped person. These comments come from my heart. As I said, I've been riding Metro since the beginning of the rail, and many of my brothers and sisters worked on fixing it and making it possible. So thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Ray Jackson. Sorry, Mr. Jackson. Thank you.
I don't think they put me down as
I
that.
apologize. I didn't think I gave you the proper title.
Oh, that's okay. It's okay. Good afternoon to everyone. And to the WMATA board, first let me make this clear so that everyone is under the understanding that we did not come here for a conflict. We came here as partners of WMATA to express some concerns that we have. When we call ourselves partners, and for the last 6 years, we have been acting as partners. We've had labor peace over the last 6 years, but in the last year or so, things have started to change and pull back, and what you're seeing is the frustrations of the workers at WMATA. So I'll speak to the one that's most prevalent right now, and it's the station managers. When you say to the union that you're going to remove our station managers out of the kiosks, and then you're going to have transit officers do touch points in the stations, which sounds to us like you're going to have them do our work, as well as some of the supervisors. We have a real problem with that. And as your partner, we come to you all and ask WMATA, not the board, but Randy and his team, for expedited arbitration so that we don't have to be here sitting in front of you all, because we're partners in this and you tell us no, which means now we have to wait a whole year before this situation gets resolved. And that just leads to the next point of why we're here. Your labor relations team, who have seemed to taken it upon their self to take years and years of contracted language and interpret it any way they want just to get to the goal that they want, which now makes our arbitration schedule a year back because of what they're doing. It just creates frustration between our membership. So what you're seeing here now It's our members coming out to you all trying to get some attention from someone. And I know my time is limited, so I'll be quick and say that train automation, we've had that forever. We had it in 2009 when Janice McMillan hit that red button and 9 people died. But if it's not for Janice McMillan, there would have been more. Understand that technology is coming. We're not afraid of technology. What we are afraid of is not going home. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments. The next speaker is Jamsia Campbell. Okay. Mike Golash.
I'd like to reinforce this concept of what's going on with the station manager issue. Basically, 20 years ago, we met with the authority and had a discussion about what the responsibilities of station managers were, what their job was, and what the requirements were to hold that job. And we arrived at the conclusion that they needed special training in CPR, in customer relationships, and running their stations. And in return for that, the authority agreed to give them 100% of operators' pay. So we have a history of having had this discussion, and we decided that that was the best way to pursue it. Today, it seems that we've now decided that at some locations, when there's low ridership, we don't need a station manager there. We can rely upon the custodian, an ambassador, a transit police to do their job. We think that's a violation of the agreement we made 20 years ago, and should we not go in that direction? That if you want to close a station at night, you're certainly entitled to do that, but don't keep it open and have a non-station manager run it. Thank you.
Mr. Golash. Next speaker is Yolanda Price.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak. Hello to everyone. I started here at Metro as a special police officer in 1986. When I started here, Carmen Turner was the general manager of this company. Carmen Turner cared about every employee and every citizen that rode the Metro system, that lived in the area, and she showed us respect. We do not feel that we're getting the respect that we deserve. A lot of our workers are risking their lives every day out here, and they're being confronted with violence. They're trying to say serious crime has cut down. We don't see it. I don't know where they're getting the numbers from, but it's not coming from the actual reality of what's going on out there in those stations and on those buses. We're only asking for the respect that everyone can negotiate with our union president with respect. Our company has turned against the workers. That's exactly how we feel. That's exactly how I feel. And we're just asking if we can turn the tide, sit down with our union president, and let's get this ball rolling. The members do not want to have a push and pull conflict with management. We want to work with you guys. But how can we work with you when we can't trust you? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Price. Our next speaker is Mayanda Piper.
This is too short for me. Okay. Yeah. Hello, my name is Mayanda Piper. I'm a train operator. The reason why I'm coming up here today is because ATO is not safe. It's not safe for the operator, and it's definitely not safe for our passengers. On January 3rd, I tore my ACL trying to prevent that station from overrunning Judiciary Square. We have to do better. This pain, the surgery, we have to do better. We have to. I need to be able to feel safe to be able to operate, transporting thousands of people's lives. If I don't feel safe, how can my passengers feel safe?
Very much for your comments. Our last in-person speaker is Adolf Montas. Mr. Montas? Oh, okay. Okay. I think we've completed the public speakers in person. I want to thank everybody who's come in person on this very hot day to speak to us. We have a number of public comments that were submitted online, and I'd like to turn to that next.
My name is Chris Pock, and I reside in the town of Vienna in Fairfax County, Virginia. I am calling in support of automated train operation, including preparations for future driverless trains. We are decades behind the rest of the world, and we have so much opportunity for better service if we move towards driverless trains. So you have my strong support to move in that direction. Thank you.
My name is Carl R., and I'm a resident of Washington, D.C., and I'm calling to say that I'm incredibly opposed to unmanned stations and trains. I think it's vital that WMATA keeps staff protecting myself as a regular Metro user by keeping staff on trains and keeping staff on the stations to make sure that we're protected, the public is safe, and the trains are run safely. The last experiment with automated train operations was a disaster, and I think it's really vital that we protect the union. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lindsay Mendelson. I live in Hyattsville, Maryland, in Prince George's County. And I would like to share my deep concerns with WMATA moving towards full automation of the system without any operators, as well as taking station managers out of the station. This has really big public safety implications, and very worried that this could have serious repercussions, cause further injuries, potentially fatalities as well. And it's important to make sure that folks are there for the safety of the system. That should be the top priority, and moving towards this without further plan, especially without the good faith negotiations with the local union, is also a problem as well. So I encourage the WMATA board to take steps against this process. Thank you. Hello.
Good evening. My name is Monifa Smith. I live in the District of Columbia in Southeast. I was calling to state several things. One, that not having a station manager in a metro station is very unsafe, and I don't think that's a great idea. Automated turnstiles, that's fine, but to take people away from where things can happen and there's no one to report it to if things happen because of the volatile state that Metro is in as far as crime and violence and young people not behaving while they're on the Metro. I don't think that's a safe idea. I also have a complaint about the way that you all have changed the buses, the routes, taking away bus stops that make it difficult for people like myself with injured ankles and broken toes and elderly people to have to walk longer and further just to catch a bus or a connecting bus. I've been riding Metro for a very long time, and I think this is one of the dumbest ideas that you've ever came up with.
Bonnie Washington, PG County. My testimony is if you have a sick customer on the train and someone calls in and says that it's a person that's unresponsive, if you take human operators off the train, who's going to attend to that customer, sick customer, especially if you don't have station managers? That just doesn't sit right with me. You can be riding with no operator, no station manager, with a dead person on the train for several stations. Think about that. You need both. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Sinai Emanuel, Ward 7 resident, and the daily Metro bus and Metro Rail rider for work, and I'm calling to reach Ramada's board of directors. I have and will continue to stand with ATU essential workers, and I'm calling to urge you not to move towards automation of trains and unmanning stations. These workers keep me and others safe every day and have helped me in the past with my questions and when I find lost items on trains. You can reach me at this number if you'd like to speak further. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sky Cranny. I live in Prince George County in Hyattsville, and I would like to call to say no to unmanned stations and trains. We need human intervention sometimes. Automated rail system cannot handle everything. It feels dangerous and reckless. So again, I would like to say no to unmanned stations and trains. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tyler Sylvester, and I'm calling to urge you to vote no on the removal of station managers at our metro stations. At a time where the region is rapidly losing jobs, we don't need to force mass layoffs of some people who do great work at keeping our stations safe. Please reconsider. I live in Mount Pleasant, Washington, D.C. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's the conclusion of the public comment period. And again, I do want to thank everyone who came out again on this really hot day to share your views with us, as well as those who called in advance. Much appreciated. We're going to move now to the Accessibility Advisory Committee. Chair Patrick Sheehan, who is joining us remotely. Is Pat online?
Yes.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Welcome, Pat.
Very good.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. First, want to start off with Metro Access. We've been approaching in the 90% on-time performance. I know our goal is 92%. We are working towards that. I'm very pleased that there has been, constant training, sometimes retraining with schedulers and Where's My Ride individuals. The other thing that I have noticed is that when problems arise, they are looked at pretty much immediately. I think the customer response area has been extremely good. So although we have some issues going on with and have had issues with on-time performance, I think that they're being addressed through training and a very good response. We've also received a report by Prince George's County Contractors on WSTC, I believe, in KFH, about the issues ongoing, particularly in Prince George's County with Metro Access. There is a 3-phase project that they're working on where they have looked at the current situation, given us extremely good data on where we are and where we need to be going. One of the areas that has been very impressive that they addressed was the Abilities Ride. And I think over the last 3 years, we've seen the Abilities Ride program it has really tripled basically in the number of trips that they have provided year over year. One, that's saving money. Two, I believe that is increasing on-time performance. Unfortunately, because we have cabs and Uber or Lyft working those trips, we can't put their on-time performance as part of the overall on-time performance. There's just no way to calculate that. But I think the fact that the growth of that project has tripled over the last 3 years is a good thing, and I think it's helping to improve customer satisfaction and also saving WMATA money. So we think that's good. We're not expecting any issues going forward, and with the Better Bus Network, we know that's a complex project that's going to be ongoing. We're watching to see if there are any issues, particularly with the bus stop, some of the bus stops being removed, and we can certainly address them. They certainly have plenty of channels to address issues going forward, but we're cautiously optimistic that the impact on people with disabilities will not be severe. If anything comes up, of course, we will work with WMATA to address them. Under bus and rail, we are also setting up a signage task force, particularly working with members of our low vision community to ensure that the signage is going to be as good as possible, is going to be placed where it's possible, having good lighting. And this task force has been taking a real deep dive, working with Sarah Meyer and her group to ensure that signage, particularly for low vision individuals, is going to be accurate and easy to work with. We figure that if individuals with low vision can look at the signage and use it effectively, that it'll help all customers. And then in the fall, we are going forward, we're looking to get briefings on bus prioritization, bus rapid transit. Those are areas that we would like to have some information and training on so that we can work together with the DMV Moves project, being part of their bus prioritization subcommittee, and then also a wayfinding subcommittee working with signage and other areas. So we think that members of our committee can be introduced to those areas in the fall and be effective partners with respect to those two different projects on DMV Moves. Those are the things we're seeing right now. We're real pleased with the progress being made in those areas, and we're available for questions. Are there questions for me?
Thanks so much. Are there any questions for the AAC? I don't see any, but I do just want to say thank you to all the members of the AAC for this work on all these different fronts. There's so much going on at Metro, and the perspectives that you're providing are critically important. So we appreciate your work and look forward to continuing.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Us too. Thanks.
I'll now call on Mr. Cole Stout for the Riders Advisory Committee report.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present this month's RAC report. At our meeting earlier this month, we spent some time with staff talking about how we can be better partners in communicating out the changes for the Better Bus launching this weekend. It's been a big project for the RAC in the 4 years that I've been a member of the council, and so we're really excited to see it launch and continue to provide that feedback to Metro staff to make sure that the rollout continues to be effective, especially as we move into the fall and some of our students go back to school, college students return to the city. And then also talking about some of the communications efforts around the split on the Silver Line, especially given that some of the speakers on the older Metro train sets don't work. And so for folks who might not know which direction that is going, and we felt that staff had a good response to some of our questions there. We also spent a lot of time talking about the return to ATO. Overall, riders have expressed an improvement in quicker trips, smoother trips, and overall general satisfaction with the return to ATO. We did get into a pretty deep conversation that the RAC doesn't often focus on, which comes to some of the capital issues that I know the board and staff have been talking about, especially with the signaling system and the aging signaling system. I know since I've been doing this for a few years, I think I'm a little bit more plugged in than most riders. And so, but you think the kind of rippling delays that we've seen across the rail system this month on the red line and the orange, blue, and silver, all related to an aging signaling system. The RAC really wants to reinforce what I think the board and staff already position is that we need a significant investment in our signaling system and an updated signaling system. It's really, besides, since I've been in DC for the past decade, other than the 7000 series car issue, the continuing problems with an aging signaling system has been the largest reason for delayed trips in the system, and it really needs to be priority for the board to ensure that we have an investment to improve that system moving forward. We look forward to John Manager Clark joining us at our next RAC meeting just soon after the Better Bus launch. I'm sure he's going to tell us there's been no problems, no issues, and so we're looking forward to, yeah, no, we're excited to have him there and have a really great discussion here at Metro HQ on Wednesday.
Great, thank you so much. Are there any questions for Mr. Stout? Well, like I said to Pat earlier, thank you so much for your work, and to all the members of the RAC for keeping us informed about what you're experiencing out there on the system. That concludes the advisory body reports. Now we're going to move to the chair's report. This is the part I was really not looking forward to, because today we are unfortunately saying farewell to two outstanding principal board members, Finance and Capital Committee Chair Matt Letourneau and Safety and Operations Committee Chair Don Drummer. Matt, I'm going to start with you. Matt has served this board with dedication, insight, and an unwavering commitment to the region's transit system. Representing Loudoun County and Virginia, Matt brought a deep understanding of transportation policy, local needs, and regional collaboration. He's been a steady voice for balancing fiscal responsibility with strategic investment, never losing sight of the importance Metro plays in the lives of millions. We want to thank you for your tireless service. We'll have a token of appreciation for you and an official commendation. And I get to officially move the following. Whereas Matt Letourneau has faithfully represented the Commonwealth of Virginia on the Metro Board of Directors since April 2019, first as an alternate and since March 2020 as a principal director, and whereas Mr. Letourneau's distinguished service on the Metro Board concludes effective June 30th, 2025, and whereas during his tenure on the board, Mr. Letourneau served on both its Safety and Operations Committee and its Finance and Capital Committee, serving as chair of the Finance and Capital Committee from September 21 through June 2025. And whereas as chair, Mr. Letourneau provided steady leadership through unprecedented challenges, including Metro's recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic and Metro's most challenging budget cycle for FY 2025. And whereas Mr. Letourneau played an instrumental role in advancing major initiatives, most notably the development and adoption of Metro's FY 2024 budget, which implemented the most significant changes to Metro's fare structure and service levels since the system's creation. And whereas the opening of Phase 2 of the Silver Line to Dulles International Airport and Loudoun County brought tremendous opportunities to Metro and to the region, and Mr. Letourneau championed the role of transit as a force for growth, connectivity, and regional cooperation. And whereas throughout his service on the board, Mr. Letourneau fostered greater accountability, strengthened collaboration between Metro and its jurisdictional partners, and promoted a spirit of partnership among his colleagues on the board, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Metro Board of Directors offers its sincere gratitude to Matt Letourneau for his exemplary service and leadership as a member of the board, and be it further resolved that the Metro Board of Directors commends Mr. Letourneau for his dedication to enhancing safety, service quality, and regional mobility for benefit of all WMATA customers and the region. Can I get a second? Someone do it.
Second.
Second. Seconded by Mr. Drummer. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you. The ayes have it. Thank you very much, everyone. That resolution has passed. I know the GM would like to say a few words. I don't know if there's other board members who would like to speak. We'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Randy. Oh, okay. We're going to hold comments until after the next one. Matt, do you want to say a few words?
Sure. No, I just thank you, Director Klein. Been a great friend. I've had a very eventful tenure on this board. My first meeting as a principal director was in the old Jackson Graham building. I went to one in-person meeting, and the topic for most of the meeting was about this virus that we were all worried about and how Metro was going to deal with that. And then we went virtual for the next several years. And then we sort of found ourselves in really an existential crisis for the organization. I think of anything that I've done, I've been on the Board of Supervisors in Loudoun County for, I think I'm in my 14th year, so I've been at it a while, but of anything I've done, I think I'm the proudest of how far this organization has come when I started to where we are today. The types of conversations we were having then about serious safety concerns about process issues that we were having with certification, about the level of service we were providing to today, where we listen to presentations like we had today. We're just plowing through things that were huge obstacles for years for this organization. And certainly the general manager deserves a ton of credit for that, the team here. And I've had great colleagues on this board, Chair Santos. Paul, I know, had to drop, but I would be really remiss if I didn't thank him specifically for incredible friendship and dedication to Metro over the years. Mr. Drummer, everybody, Ms. Martin Proctor, everybody here, Dr. Lowe, everyone I've served with has been a great colleague. So I will miss all of you. Still be a writer. I'll still be very involved. I'm going to remain an officer at MVTC. So you'll probably be hearing from me now and then on these issues. Maybe I'll just close by kind of picking up on one of the comments we had today, which was we shouldn't be afraid of the future. We should really lean into it. I understand that whenever we start talking about new concepts and new ideas and new things, there always will be kind of fear around it. But I really believe that the next step for this organization is to look hard at signaling and at automation to become world-class like we're seeing. And I think we can do that in a way that absolutely protects our employees and our workers, but still delivers an even safer and more reliable product for our customers. And I'll certainly be a cheerleader for that on the sidelines of the Metro Board, but hopefully still very involved in the region. Thank you.
Matt, thank you so much. I'm going to add a personal anecdote, which is that before my very first board meeting, when we had a finance committee item on the agenda, I called Matt as the chair of the finance committee and basically said, how do you run these things? Do I ask questions? Like, do you want to know what my questions are in advance? And he basically said, ask your questions. They're all valid. Go ahead, ask your questions. And you maintain that kind of open dialogue with me throughout. We didn't always agree on everything, but you were always willing to listen and talk it through. So I just really appreciate that on a personal level. Any other comments before we turn? Okay, we're going to do a little photo op after we recognize our other board member, who is unfortunately departing as well. So we're going to turn to recognize Don Drummer, who has served as a principal board member from Maryland. Don brought to the board a strong voice for safety, accessibility, and the needs of Metro's core riders. Whether the topic was safety, capital investment, or community impact, Don approached each issue with clarity, compassion, and a focus on what truly matters to the people who rely on Metro every day. His thoughtful presence and unwavering professionalism have strengthened our work and enriched our conversations. Don, your service to this board, the region, and to the residents of Maryland is deeply appreciated. We'd like to thank you for your steady leadership and your commitment to public service. We will have a token of appreciation for you and a photo op after we finish with the official resolution. I move the following commendation. Whereas Don Drummer has faithfully represented the state of Maryland on the Metro Board of Directors from July 2021, and whereas Mr. Drummer's service on the Metro Board will conclude effective June 30th, 2025, and whereas during his service, Mr. Drummer has served on the Safety and Operations Committee and notably led the committee as its chair since September 2021, whereas Mr. Drummer brought to the board a wealth of expertise in security, logistics, and real estate, enriching the board's deliberations with both strategic insight and operational perspective. And whereas Mr. Drummer was a committed and consistent champion of Metro's Accessibility Advisory Committee, ensuring the AAC had the resources and access necessary to carry out its mission. And whereas Mr. Drummer's service on the board was distinguished not only by his professional acumen and ability to navigate complex issues, but also by his thoughtful curiosity, his optimistic and solutions-based approach, and his steadfast support of Metro's workforce from its executives to its frontline employees. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the WMATA Board of Directors offers its sincere gratitude to Don Drummer for his service and leadership as a member of the Metro Board of Directors, and be it further resolved that the board commends Mr. Drummer for his steadfast dedication to advancing safety, accessibility, and excellence for all Metro customers and the region. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second. Letourneau. and others. That's all right. And Mr. Goldman. All in favor? Aye.
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 Great, the ayes have it. Thank you so much. Randy, do you want to go ahead at this time for both of them? Oh, you want to go ahead?
Sure,
Don? Okay.
sure. So thank you very much. As I look back and reflect on my time here, it's been 4 years now. I can honestly say that in reflection, this has been one of the highest honors of my professional career, serving and supporting this gifted team. The most important piece of this is this gifted team. Randy earlier today talked about people. He said, no matter what processes you have, no matter what technology you have, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, it's about people. And the people are the ones that are going to make it happen for you. And this team has a bold vision and have unrelenting commitment to delivering solutions in the most complex situations that I've ever seen. And that boldness and that tenacity has brought Metro to where it is today. And having a bird's eye view of all of these processes moving makes me respect individually and collectively every member of Team Metro, from the front line, as I witness out in the community, to every member of the team, to the chief executive. And I tell you, I'm a student of leadership. And what I see here should be studied, as I stated once before, by schools of public affairs and by schools of public policy, if they want to see what right looks like. Team Metro is not perfect, but if you want to see what it takes to succeed in the most complex environments on earth, this is the place to check out. So it's been my honor, my pleasure, and I will say that the support system, fellow board members, you guys are gifted and talented. You bring something very special and unique to the table, and I've learned from each one of you because I had no idea what I was doing when I joined the board. And all I did was follow your lead, learn as fast as I can, and try to make a difference. To the support team, the corporate secretaries team, my goodness, you all are on top of your game. You keep us straight, you keep us focused. To the Washington Suburban Transit Commission staff, Ryan and I don't know why I'm forgetting names right now, but I will tell you, you guys will come in and transform what we do and how we do it, and you've made a difference. You've made a difference on how we, Jonathan Rogers, on how we do business. To the senior executive team, you already know how you do business. You're bringing it every day. To all of the committees that support this complex institution, wow, I just can't believe what I see. I am proud to wear this M. I've been on teams all of my life, if you would, but I'm proud to wear this M, and I will be one of your biggest cheerleaders from this point forward. Continue to do what you do, and it has been a distinct honor and a pleasure to support and work with this team.
Don, thank you so much for those words. My personal anecdote, I just have to say, your optimism is infectious. We've had a number of difficult conversations as a board, and whenever Colonel Drummer speaks, I feel a renewed sense of we can do this as a team. So thank you for that. I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Clark for some remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So on a personal level, a little bit of a bittersweet day, to be honest. I'm now down to having 4 board members that originally hired me. And so, you know, there's a connection when you have an opportunity to, you know, be recruited for a position, and the people that you talk to initially, that interaction sets so much of the framework of how you think about the role and the opportunity and the challenges. I've been on boards, fair amount of boards, and I've worked for, at this point, several boards and rotating members. And I think I could easily speak on behalf of the entire senior team. We are losing two just incredible board members, two people that I put up there on the list of just some of the best I've ever associated with on public governance. I want to just thank you both on behalf of the whole team. If I can, I'll start with Donna. Donna, if I can, Board Member Durham, I'll mention a couple things. One is your just sense of purpose and mission is it just means so much to us. You know, your whole life, military service, then at the airports, it's just, it's so analogous in a lot of ways to what we do. And you're caring about the entire staff, the well-being, leadership development, system safety and security approach, understanding the macro versus the micro, keeping us focused on what really matters. You know, we live in a very complex and sometimes dangerous world, and this organization has to live in that world. And you, I think, once in a while will reground us in, at the end of the day, that is the mission, right? Keeping everyone moving, keeping everyone safety and safe. Just really appreciate, again, about the whole staff, but me personally, your guidance and just the overall way you approach leadership it has just been really quite frankly, transformational in the last few years. Safety and security has been the paramount for us over the last few years, whether it's public safety or our interactions with WMSC on ATO and things of that nature, and just your steady hand and thoughtfulness, I think, has just been really appreciated. So if I can, then I'm going to do the same here for Board Member Letourneau. We have lots of photos of board members doing lots of things. And there's one photo that the senior staff thought this really was a moment that really reflected your service at this organization and brought your whole kind of life story together. And this is when we went to Arlington National Cemetery. And you and Andy Off, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today, placed the wreath at the tomb. And obviously, it was just such a meaningful moment for our organization. I know it meant so much to you personally. And so you'll see what we put here. It's a picture of you and a signature by all of our senior staff, just a little note thanking you for your incredible service. So if I could present that to you, I would appreciate it. Now you know what's coming, so but you don't know what picture. And if I can, Matt, Board Member Letourneau, you know, again, on behalf of the whole team, a lot of similar themes there of just your commitment to this organization. The other number one challenge this organization is clearly is money. And as our finance chair, your commitment has been amazing. A great example of that is we just went up to New York to reaffirm our bond rating. You're leaving the board and you're still like, I'm going to New York. It's certainly not a luxurious thing of taking the Amtrak regional. I love Amtrak, by the way. I just want to put that note there. But taking the regional and jamming in 5 meetings and coming right back. And like, I think we had a sandwich. So it's not exactly a glorious New York trip. And but you said it mattered so much to you to reaffirm that rating, and I think that reflects. So I know you mostly have really concentrated working with Yutunde and Tom, but then the whole senior staff is going to miss you. The things that I think you really brought to this is the idea of a fiduciary to this organization. And while you're an elected official in one part of the region, there has not been one conversation in the entire time you've been a board member here that hasn't been regional in nature. And I think we can all learn from that. At the end of the day, we are a regional body, regardless of how we're made up. You kept bringing that lens over and over and over. So I know that you're going to let us know that when you run the system, if there's any issues, and we will be respectful and try to solve that. But your help on communication, practicality, working with all of our partners in Northern Virginia, the meetings with Governor Youngkin, and on and on and on. You know, the whole team just really, really appreciates what you've done. Hopefully, being off our board will give you a little more time on your 3 phones. That meaning will not be here, and you can watch more Celtics games, which I know you desperately like. So, on behalf of the whole staff, we very much appreciate you. This photo is, believe it or not, like, and I was telling Board Member Klein, who's acting chair at the moment, we have a lot of amazing photos over the last few years. We've done a lot as an organization. So it's hard to pick some of these photos, and you've been in a lot of things, and, we just did Tap Ride Go, and we had all these other things. It was amazing. But I think it's fair to say in your tenure, probably the biggest thing was opening the Silver Line to beautiful Ashburn, Virginia, right? And somebody that put their neck on the line and voted when it was very uncomfortable to do so, to make sure Loudoun joined the metro system. And we thought this was just a amazing way to remember. Maybe there's no more symbolic way to remember your time on Metro, which is that we open to your home, and forever people are going to enjoy being on the Metro system and serving the region. So on behalf, again, the whole staff, thank you very much. Really, really appreciate you.
Well, I think now we're going to take a moment to do a little photo up in the front, and we have some additional gifts to present to our departing board members.
What if we get all the senior staff that's around too to jump in? We get it, whoever senior staff are available.
John. One, two, three, and one more. One, two, three.
Where's the water? Where did the water go?
Just
Can you go back to that? Last 45 minutes,
Oh. Okay.
Need extra hands.
Oh, we're gonna have the box.
Matt. Official copy.
Thank you very much.
Okay, very bittersweet. Thank you to everyone who joined us for the photo op. I know that I speak for everyone here in person, on the Teams, on virtual, and everyone who wasn't able to join us today. On behalf of the full board, thank you again, Matt and Don, for your time, energy, and lasting impact on WMATA, and we wish you both success in whatever you do next by figuring out what to do with all the time you're going to have when you're not spending hours with us. We, just so folks know, we will be welcoming new board members next month. Let me turn to the rest of my report. I want to recognize that June is Caribbean American Heritage Month. This month is an opportunity to honor and reflect on the rich history, vibrant culture, and lasting contributions of Caribbean Americans to our region and our nation. From science and business to the arts, public service, and civil rights, Caribbean Americans have shaped every part of American life. Here at WMATA, we are fortunate to have a diverse Caribbean American community that is deeply woven into the fabric of our workforce, our neighborhoods, and of course, our ridership. Many of WMATA's employees, past and present, are proud Caribbean Americans who help keep this system running every day. We thank them for their commitment and the perspectives they bring to our mission of serving the public. As we celebrate Caribbean American Heritage Month, we also acknowledge that June is a time to honor other important milestones. including Pride Month, which celebrates LGBTQ+ communities and their contributions, and Juneteenth, commemorating the emancipation of enslaved African Americans and a continuing journey toward justice and equality. Next, I'd like to share that, as we did last year, Metro will offer free rides after 5 p.m. on the 4th of July. This includes Metro Rail, Metro Bus, and Metro Access. The 4th of July is one of the busiest days of the year in our region, and Metro plays a critical role in helping people get to and from the National Mall and celebrations across the area safely and efficiently. By providing free service in the evening, we're making it easier for everyone to enjoy the holiday while reducing congestion and supporting public safety. This is part of our continued effort to improve the customer experience, promote accessible transportation, and encourage people to choose transit, especially during major regional events. We encourage everyone to plan ahead, take advantage of the free service again after 5 p.m., Metro Rail, Metro Bus, and Metro Access on the 4th of July, and celebrate safely. Finally, I'd like to note that there will be only one public board day in July, on July 10th. This concludes my report. I'll now turn the floor over to our GM CEO for his report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate that. I know it's been a fairly long meeting, so I'll go through this relatively quickly if we pull up my slides. So I want to start off and just kind of take a deep breath, which I kind of need to do personally more. June, I think, is arguably one of the most important months maybe in Metro history of how many things have actually happened in 1 month. If you look at here, we talk about daily service, World Pride, Army 250th, which I think is the 6th special national security event we've done in 1 year, which is the most ever. We're geared up for July 4th, which is now on a Friday. We have Beyonce and the Nats, so potentially just an incredibly large July 4th. We've had record heat, and on top of all that, these other initiatives I'm going to kind of go through. So it's just been an incredible amount of work here on the month of June and a lot of accomplishments. Also, you know, I can't not take a moment and recognize that, and I appreciate the chair of our RAC committee, Mr. Stout, mentioning we did have a couple pretty bad performing service days last week. You know, we've had some struggles with our D&G junction on the Blue, Orange, and Silver by Stadium Armory. It really does go to highlight we have a very safe system, but our signaling system is aging by the day, and it will be the #1 thing we need to focus on to ensure reliable, safe, frequent service go forward. So we are doing everything we can to obviously limit those types of incidents, and we do apologize that we had a couple of bad days, but overall service is running pretty well. If we go to the next slide, just thought I'd hit ATO quickly. Again, an incredible accomplishment in the month of June. All lines are now on automatic train operation, and we've noticed continual improvement. We adjusted schedules last week. We did have for a period of time, holding trains at a variety of stations because we were actually just running ahead of schedule so much because the old schedule was based on full manual that we are trying to work through that. So performance is continuing to go up with automatic train operation. As you'll see, I know station overruns were a conversation for us for a few months. Right now, we're at a 99.98% reliability. We're getting a handful a day, mostly at a couple places that we're going to continue to refine and work through, but very limited amount of actual impact to our customers now with these overruns, and we expect that to continue to even get better. But just a kudos to the entire operations infrastructure safety team for their incredible work getting ATO done across the network, and we look forward to getting past this heavy heat weather so we can actually see ATO fully performing. I was on the Silver Line the other night coming back into the district, and it is noticeable the improvement the further out you are on the Silver Line. We're probably saving 4 to 5 minutes on a trip, and definitely much smoother as well. The next slide, as mentioned, this is the weekend, a little bus Super Bowl coming up this weekend. Appreciate all board members doing everything you can in your networks to make people aware. If you're interested in coming out in the heat, we'd love to have you. I'll be personally out on Sunday with the team. A lot of the senior team was out with staff over this course of this week. We have some events that we're doing with some elected officials starting, we started yesterday and through Monday, kind of promoting Better Bus. I think it is fair to say this is the biggest, I mean, as far as we're aware, it's the largest bus network redesign in the history of the country. We are trying to really take a lot on here. Really appreciate how hard the bus team and the planning team specifically have been working on this, community engagement, government relations, communications. We will have issues. There is no getting around it. We hope that we don't hope that there's a lot of issues, and we hope that whatever issues are minimal, but it's impossible for us to not have some runtime issues. So, we are judging traffic through models. There's going to be some routes that have been misscheduled a little bit. We are going to work through those as best we can, and then we'll correct by December anything that is of significance. So, all the signs are working. I appreciate, we have Director Worth with us. The amount of work going on between our jurisdictional partners is immense, district being the number one, and just the focus with our partners. We never would get here without all of our partners, so thank you. The next, again, back to this incredible month we're on, Tap, Ride, and Go is going very well. We've had, we'll probably hit 1 million taps this week. We've already had $2.5 million in revenue just on Tap, Ride, and Go. I was on the bus last night, and multiple people asked me when we're going to have it ready for bus, so it's great that people are seeing that this is a new way they want to go about interacting with Metro. So we're going to continue to work on bus and parking in the upcoming fiscal year to get those on as well. Next up is kind of just an amazing thing to celebrate, which is APTA published just a couple days ago, and I'm just so honored to be able to say that our agency has received the Top Agency in the United States award, and we should just feel so proud of what we've all accomplished. Some of those things I just mentioned are in June, but in a lot of ways, those would be the big highlight of a year for most agencies, and we had like 3 or 4 in a month. We will be getting recognized at this award at the APTA annual meeting, which is in Boston in September. And I know some board members hopefully will be able to join and collect that award. We look forward to celebrating that both publicly and with our team in the upcoming month or two ahead, including some decals on all of our buses and trains and Metro Access vehicles, so the public could see that their agency is performing at a very high level for them. And then last but not least, we were losing 2 board members, but we're also losing a couple incredible members of our management team. We talked about Liz Price. This is her last meeting, and we had people put together a nice little going away party for her last night, and we definitely miss Liz. 2 members, though, of our executive team that, I feel happy for them on a personal level, but really upset with them on a professional level that they are leaving. The first is Mr. Dwyer, who he's already given some remarks. Brian came here 3 years ago, put 23 years at another agency behind his belt. Quite frankly, can't imagine he decided to get back into the game on the public side, but he definitely he wanted to be in the game. He wanted to come back and go at it hard. Brian has done an incredible job, and I appreciate the comments the board has to recognize Brian's leadership. The things I'm most impressed, we can talk about 7K and ATO and Better Bus, establishing our control center, all of the union collaboration, CBAs, Silverline opening, the amazing efforts on public safety. But the things that I think Brian left the biggest imprint on are, we had a fair amount of friction on the management team and management board for a period of time. Brian's calming, professional presence really brought our leadership team together in a very collaborative way. He wasn't a control freak kind of person where he wanted everything to come through him. He was okay giving up parts of his organization because he knew spreading the organization around was the most valuable way to run the organization. And really his mentoring of his team. Leroy, Jewel, Shanita, Shashil, Christian Blake, people like that. I've seen their career development just accelerate so much, Brian, with your leadership. So on behalf of the entire team, Brian, I'm personally obviously going to miss you a lot. We're very happy for you that you're going, shipping up to Boston, as the song would be, but we know that you're going to be with us here all the time and what you've done. So in recognition of that, I have a formal certificate here in your recognition, and I'll go through one more, and then we're going to have you up, and we also have a piece of hardware for your shelf, acknowledging your dedication to this region and all the hard work you've done. And I'm not sure who's going to text me as much at 5 in the morning, although Andy does a really good job of that as well. So you will get to enjoy not doing the 5 a.m. text as much. But Brian, just thank you so much on behalf of the whole team, what you've done. Just amazing. So thank you. And then I'd also like to recognize, next slide here is, when you get a phone call and someone says, hey, sir, FYI, in a couple hours I'm being announced as a police chief in a different jurisdiction, you kind of say, oh, all right. So we unfortunately lost Assistant Chief Nader in the last week to another one of our partner jurisdictions, and he was going to be with us today, but as a dutiful new employee, he has a new employee orientation, to which I said, you're the police chief, just leave. And he's like, I'm not going to do that, sir. So so the new county executive clearly has a great leader who wants to follow the rules and do a great job, but he couldn't be with us. Same thing, we have a recognition, and I think it goes without saying, the leadership of the police department, the challenges we had a few years ago, we had stabbings and there were shootings, the whole region had public safety crisis. What we were able to build is a lot to do with the leadership of Chief Gonzalo and, of course, Chief Nader and their leadership team. He did 12 years here with us at Metro. Before that, he did 20 years at Prince George's. So the fact he's kind of going home is just such an amazing thing. And now we know we have such a great partner as the police chief in Prince George's, in which we interact with every single day. So, Chief, I know you're not listening because you're new employee orientation, but we will miss Chief Nader significantly. And he is the person who gives texts at 11 o'clock at night. So we're going to have to find someone to do the late texts as well. But just his commitment to this organization has been amazing. So just want to recognize Chief Nader. And so with that, board, if you would indulge that we would do a picture with Brian, I would really appreciate that. And maybe we'll do the team as well. All Brian. Sure.
Yeah, Red Sox playing. That will be there, but well, I don't know. Red Sox are pretty bad, right? Yeah, get out of the way. Get rid of you. You don't want to drop her. No, I don't want to drop her. All right, if we get the senior team to come up and Photoshop Andy in them. Yeah.
Windows, Sarah, come in the window. Yeah, Sherry, come in the window. To your left. I'm not, no, other side. I'm not. Right here. 1, 2, 3. One more.
And I believe we have a cake. Yeah, we have a cake for everybody.
Okay.
Yes.
All the
Right.
parts.
Yeah.
It's at least efficient. We saved.
Okay, is that the end of?
That is everything unless the board has any questions for me.
Any questions for Mr. Clerk? Okay, we have a little more business to conduct. We're going to move on to the report from the Elections Committee. Mr. Drummer?
Thank you, Ms. Chair. Madam Chair, the following item was referred to the board at this morning's election committee. The committee voted to nominate Valerie Santos as the board chair, Paul Smedberg as first vice chair, and Joe McAndrew as a board second vice chair. Madam Chair, I move approval of this slate of officers.
Thank you, Mr. Drummer. We have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Letourneau. Is there any discussion? I will ask the board corporate secretary to call the vote.
Chair Santos? Aye. Alternate Director Goldman?
Aye.
Director Klein?
Aye.
Alternate Director Worth?
Aye.
Director Letourneau?
Aye.
Director Drummer?
Aye.
Director Martin Proctor?
Aye.
Madam Chair, the vote passes.
Thank you. Ms. Ellison, we have 3 items on the board's consent agenda today. I would like to move approval of the following. The first is second lien dedicated revenue bond, Series 2025A. Staff requests approval to issue second lien dedicated capital revenue bonds, Series 2025A, with a 35-year maximum maturity with average interest not to exceed 7.0% and an issuance not to exceed $653.5 million, exclusive of expenses and any bond premium or discount, to help fund the FY 2026 capital program. The second, approval of updated board travel and expense policy. Staff requests approval of an updated version of the board's travel and expense policy to reflect changes in the travel and transportation industries since its last update in 2018 and to align with requirements under Metro's new travel management system. The third is revised WMATA FY 2025 and FY 2026 Virginia State Operating Funding Agreement. Staff requests approval of a revised WMATA FY 2025 and FY 2026 Virginia State Operating Funding Agreement to change the disbursement schedule for $76.7 million in general funds. Rather than a lump sum payment in FY 2025, the revised agreement would allow quarterly payments throughout FY 2026. I move approval. Can I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Letourneau. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? These items are approved. We move to the reports by the jurisdictions. We'll start with the District of Columbia. Director Worth or Chair?
Brain.
The mayor presented her budget last month, and the council for DC should be voting on that in July. And then the other thing I wanted to share is this Saturday is Open Streets in Capitol Hill. It's happening from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's free. It's in Capitol Hill between North Carolina Avenue Southeast and Massachusetts Avenue and Capitol Street, East Capitol Street. And it'll be a full mile of, the streets will be closed to vehicles. You can bike, you can walk around. There'll be performances that will include music, yoga, and dancing. So we invite all to attend in the district.
Thank you very much for that. Turning to NVTC, Mr. Letourneau.
No, only that the current alternate, Mr. Alcorn, Supervisor Alcorn, will be taking over, has been appointed as my replacement on the board. And I'm sure you're all going to really enjoy working with him. He's a great.
We're sorry to see you go, but we are definitely looking forward to working with Mr. Alcorn. Turning to WSTC, Mr. Mr. Goldman, yeah.
Yes. We have a couple things to report for Maryland. This is a bifurcated report. I'll make some report on some things of interest from Montgomery County, and then Don Drummer, as his last official duty, will provide some information on Prince George's County. So turning to Montgomery County, in conjunction with Metro's Better Bus rollout, this Sunday, June 29th, Montgomery County DOT will implement Phase 1 of the Ride-On Reimagination Plan with new and updated routes and schedule adjustments. The service changes bring streamlined connections to Metrorail, prevent overlap with routes operated by Metrobus, and allow for more reliable service in high-demand areas. County residents can view the service changes on the Montgomery County DOT website or by using the Trip Planner tool on WMATA's website. Second, coming July 1, the start of the fiscal year, Ride-On will go fare-free. for the next fiscal year. It will join Alexandria's Dash as the region's second zero bus fare system. So we encourage you to pay your fare on Metro and take the red line to Montgomery County, and then get around the county fare free for this summer. So having done that, I will pass the baton for a last time to Don Drummer, who can provide an update on what's happening in Prince George's County. Don?
Thank you, Mike. Prince George's County has also been working closely with Metro in leading up to the Better Bus Network rollout, and has some service changes that will take effect on the June 29th. The Department of Public Works and Transportation wrapped up the public comment period on its recently published Transit Vision Plan, TVP. The TVP develops the implementation actions for the county's transit transformation process, which are a combination of recommendations, policies, and programs that work together to ensure transit aligns with community needs. They held multiple open houses seeking public feedback on the long-term aspirational transportation strategies outlined in the plan. The public is encouraged to continue engaging with the process as the county now seeks to secure funding and moves into planning, designing, and construction phases of the plan. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you for those reports. Federal government, I'll turn to Ms. Martin Proctor.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Briefly, I'd just like to highlight 3 things from the federal government. I don't know if you know that today in history, in 1974, was the first time a barcode was scanned. I say this to highlight the fact that Metro is now moving forward with that new process with regards to our inventory, and I just think it's delightful that we are doing that full circle and moving forward. I would also like to highlight and celebrate Yatende's beautiful baby girl, Tiwa, who is celebrating her sweet 16 today. On behalf of Metro and WMATA, we wish you a happy birthday. And I would also like to highlight, this is how close me and Yatende are, that my beautiful baby girl, Madison Clark Proctor, on today is celebrating her 17th birthday. And happy birthday, baby girl. On behalf of Metro and WMATA, we know that you 2 ladies are going to go out and do amazing things. The world is not ready, but we are looking forward to you taking over. And that closes out my federal report for today. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. It's an exciting day all around. I want to thank everybody who has stuck with us through the end of this meeting. We have no further business to come before the board, and we stand adjourned. We will now move to the board executive session. In accordance with the bylaws, I, Sarah Klein, request that the Board of Directors convene an executive session to discuss the following matters pursuant to Article 2, Paragraph 9, subsections B, litigation, investigations, and other legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice or consultation with counsel and staff members, and C, personnel or labor issues, including discussions of labor contracts and labor negotiations, consideration or interviews of candidates for employment, and the assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, or resignation of individuals. D, contractual or other matters involving confidential or proprietary concerns or the investment of public funds where discussion in public would adversely affect the interests of WMATA, and G, disposition of WMATA property or the acquisition of real property for WMATA purposes where discussion in public would adversely affect WMATA's negotiating or bargaining position. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Martin Proctor. All in favor, please say aye. 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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much, everyone.